movies anymore, and we only see dicks. Hey, anybody notice this? Yes, I love titties. Big old titties.
What's up, everyone? I'm 2 minutes early today. I hope you guys are excited because we got RazörFist, the man.
I feel like after that intro, I have to like move to the West Village and get a life partner. Start wearing salmon fucking shirts.
Yeah, dude. That's what it's all about. No, dude. My main point of contention is I don't know what it is, but every time I watch any movie, any TV show, like I think when that clip happened, I had just finished watching The Boys. It was at some panel, and I'm like, dude, every movie, everything I watch, it's just every episode has like 9 like just flaccid dicks, and then there's like not a single.
Yeah, it's a fucking sausage fest now. I don't understand. I don't understand. You know who started that? It had to be Game of Thrones. That they started showing cranks an awful lot, and I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. And it's interesting because it used to be, you remember, like growing up, like the line of demarcation between an R-rated film with some sex scenes in it, and porn was when Mr. Johnson made an appearance. Like that was the accepted kind of, right? That was the metric. Yeah. And at some point, the waters got muddied, motherfucker. I say we go back.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and at least have like some kind of equal representation. I mean, if you're gonna have to show me some flesh sticks, at least have a side boob or two somewhere, just somewhere. And it's not like that anymore, man. It's just all dicks all the time, and I'm tired of
it. Well, you remember in the 90s when everyone wanted to see Lucy Lawless nude?
Yeah.
Go ahead and watch Spartacus. About like 3 granny MILF sex scenes in, you'll be like, all right, I think we filled the tank. I think we're done now.
Yeah, dude, I was watching something kind of recently.
There's such a thing as too much of a good thing, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was watching some goofy ass movie, and like the main lady was very attractive, and I was waiting patiently, and then there's just a scene with like 9 old ladies that are like 80 and they're naked. And I'm like, what is happening?
I don't know. Golden Girls, XXX parody.
It's like, is this what they had to do to be in the movie? Like, I think I'm just tired of these pretentious actresses that assign contracts and they're like, I will under no circumstances show my boobies. And I'm like, you should be required to be fair. If it's Disney, if it's a Disney movie, pull it out.
Julia Roberts started all that. Right? That was Julia Roberts. She was like, she became famous in an era where, in order to be serious actress, right, with mood lighting, you had to take your clothes off at some point, and she refused. She was the one who put her foot down. I mean, her argument was, "I'm making a movie, not a documentary." That was her quote too. Like, okay, that's fine, but then they went a little far with it. Although, honestly, dude, some of the shows on like HBO, Showtime, whatever, it's like softcore porn with occasional acting scenes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not a big fan of. It's a formula too, you know, because you can tell they have a checklist. Like, if you ever watch, gosh, there was a whole era of shows: Game of Thrones, Rome, even Deadwood. It's like they had to have at least one gay or lesbian romance in there. They had to have at least, you know, they had to have X number of sex scenes every X number of episodes. That
reminds me, dude, I had this conversation today with one of my buddies. So I just watched this Fiona and Cake show because I enjoyed Adventure Time when I was like younger, like 19, 20. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'll watch this new adult-oriented Adventure Time, but it's like the same characters, but they're older and whatnot. I'm like, cool. And it's almost like there is a checklist because it gets to one certain episode, like episode 6 or 7 or whatever. And there's just this overt, like on the nose, like gay relationship. And it's always performed it where it's like super perfect. There's no conflict. It's super cutesy and everybody's all about it. And I'm like, there has to be a little conflict in like real relationships. That's what makes like relationships in movies believable is like there's conflict, and when there's a gay relationship, it's always fucking perfect.
Yo, you're absolutely correct, dude. I think Star Trek Lower Decks, I think the 5 people that watch that piece of shit, I think there's one of those in there too. Like fucking, I caught that by accident on Pluto TV the other day. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, when I watched the Last of Us show, which I didn't really care for, I feel like it was underwhelming. A lot of people loved it, but
you had to know what you were getting in for. Though.
Yeah, you knew. But I feel like that 3rd episode, I talked with Drinker about this a lot. That 3rd episode, which was, I guess like that, there was a lot of conflict, and there was a lot of kind of realness to the relationship, which I feel like played better. I didn't really need the insert scene though, RazörFist. I didn't need it. I didn't need the gasping like insert scene. I don't need that. I don't want to see it in any like form of like if it's going to be like a slasher like sex scene, I want it to be a slasher sex scene. I don't need the insert. That's weird.
And there better be a kill at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, I'm just watching creepy softcore porn. It's like, what am I doing here? What is this?
Just cut a boobie off immediately.
Right? You ever like watch a movie with your friends and it gets just a little too sexually graphic, and suddenly you find yourself being just 2 dudes watching a really inappropriate movie, and you're like, how did this happen? This is not good.
Yeah, and then one of your guys like starts slipping his shorts off.
That's
like, oh, dude, no.
Right.
It's not what we were doing. No one agreed to this yet.
Exactly.
Okay. Put it back. Put it back. No, I didn't. No shit. This is a terrible story, but I remember being like 14 and going over to a friend's house, and we, would play Halo and shit back in those days. And something like that happened. Like it was like he had like super cable where it would show softcore porn. And that dude was like rubbing on himself. And I'm like over there in the corner, like, what are you doing? I'm 14. Stop.
I feel like we're about to reach a breakthrough here. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this something that flashes into your mind with some regularity? Is this?
Yes. No. I remember asking him. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And he was just like, what do you expect me not to? And I'm like, yeah.
Yes, actually. Yeah. Yes.
Please, God.
That's more or less exactly what I expect, and it's actually the bare minimum. Fuck nut.
Normal people usually don't start masturbating in front of their friends.
Yeah, remove the nipple clamps. Go ahead and put the shirt back on.
Oh my gosh. Let me get this goofy ass ginormous super chat from the Phoenix Sage. Thank you, my friend. I love you. You're hung like a horse, my friend. Says RazörFist. Love the books. Xerdes is the shit. And thank you for inspiring the Iron Age. Got a world of my own. I can't wait to share. Unfortunately, I got my C's. Then I got my C's, then a Hispanic couple reaching mutual climax in English class.
He fumbled the delivery on
Yes, he fumbled it hard. Damn, Phoenix Sage. Thank you, my friend. I love you. I appreciate you. You goated as hell.
Yeah, Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you for the first pink boy of the night. That's a 10th of the way to Naked Snake.
Actually, I think we were just telling a story about a pink boy, actually.
Yeah, it was great. Well, purple. It depends on who you are.
Lost a friend, but gained a confidant for life.
Yeah, that friend actually ended up in like a lot of trouble, like had to do with that kind of stuff, actually.
No.
Shockingly.
No.
Right? Very, very unexpected. Now that I think about it, I haven't even put those 2 and 2 together. Rakin says, don't know why Rumble Stream isn't working. Yeah, so I double checked it, Rakin, like 5 times, and everything's correct, so I don't know what's going on there. But if not, I'll just double post it on Rumble. Thank you.
I'm a total boomer. I've not yet been able to figure out Rumble streaming.
Yeah, it's a little bit more confusing because they add 1 more step or 2 more. And I'm like, what did you do this for? That's too many steps. I can't do 2. I can only do the 1, Go live. Thank you, Dylan Killen says, when Saba, why do I hear Mauser sounds?
Oh, it's a meme. When Sabaton, everyone wants me to do a Metal Mythos episode on Sabaton.
I had I had Gus G on the show like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
Love Gus G. He's one of my heroes. And I just emailed his ass and he was like, y'all, come on. I'm like, this is unexpected. So we just talked about Ozzy and Firewind, and it was great.
That's great. Yeah, I've been able to interview a few people that I'm a big fan of. I got to touch base with John Christ from Danzig, which was really cool. We might wind up doing, the original guitarist of Danzig. So we might wind up doing a Metal Mythos kind of follow-up on that. But the biggest one that I probably interviewed was Graham Bonnet from Rainbow. And that was an awesome interview. Oh, yeah. I've loved him for fucking years. He's one of my favorite singers.
Yeah. The only other person I've had Phil Labonte on, of course, because I love Phil Labonte. Love All That Remains. Great man.
The one I need to do, I can speak Japanese. I am so rusty though. I would not feel confident in a conversational situation. Is Naoto Shibata from Anthem. We were supposed to hook up for an interview. I did a whole metal mythos on Anthem, introduced a lot of people to the band. I'd like to do the same for Loudness and a couple other Japanese bands, because like other people who cover metal bands on YouTube, they don't speak Japanese, so they don't know. Number one, a lot of them don't know about these bands, and number two, they can't cover like their history because they can't read the books and they can't watch the documentaries and whatever. So I'd really like to touch base with Naoto Shibata. If you know someone who's maybe an interpreter who could kind of bridge the gap between my rusty Japanese and Shibata-san's fucking much better Japanese, then certainly send them my way. I'd be happy to make that. Well,
I'm in the trailer park. Well, I used to be in the trailer park. But I live in Alabama.
So you speak English and bad English.
I barely speak English. Pretty rough. I have since
fluent Spanish though, for some reason.
Yeah, it's really easy. I don't know why. No, that's the other people that were in the trailer park with me. But no, I would love to have Ted Nugent on, because I think
yes,
love him.
Well, Alice Cooper's the dream for me, because I've idolized Alice Cooper forever. We have basically the same origin story. We live in the same city. I got to meet him one time, and I was so nervous I about shit. And I got to meet him at his restaurant back before that closed here in Phoenix. But yeah, I'd love to have a proper interview with him.
You kind of look like a young Alice Cooper.
A little bit. Yeah, maybe my mom was fooling around. I don't know.
Yeah, how could she? No, yeah, that Alice Cooper. I went and saw Alice Cooper in Nashville like 3 weeks ago. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's still a great show.
Dude, he's great.
Still a great show.
He's old as hell. He's still just great. It was fantastic.
His voice has aged well. He has taken care of himself. He got himself clean in the 80s. So he's not one of those. Look, you notice all these guys who cleaned up and found God in metal or rock, they all still look and sound great. Alice Cooper, of course, the secret to never looking old is never looking young, right? Yeah. Alice Cooper looked like he was like 80 years old when he was 20.
Yeah.
So no one perceives that he's aged at all, but his voice, he's taking care of that. Another band that comes to mind that fits that description is Striper. They just still sound amazing, and the Michael Sweet, the singer, can still sing like crazy.
Michael Sweet, yeah, he did,
because he was never messing with drugs and never big into alcohol, and so that voice is still perfect.
Yeah, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Ozzy Osbourne, who somehow he still does it. Somehow, like, don't sound that great, and it's in standard D, I think now, maybe, or standard C.
Right. Well, and he's literally had to hire people backstage to sing for him at times and stuff like that. That was a real story. I thought that was a lie when I was growing up, but that was real. He hired, what's his name? The guy from Lynch Mob.
Not George Lynch. What the fuck is the other guy?
The second singer, not after Oni Logan. Robert. Anyway, the second singer for Lynch Mob. He was hired to sit with the microphone backstage and sing for Ozzy Osbourne.
They could get, who he could get? He could get Michael Starr from Steel Panther. I feel like he does a really great impression of him.
He does, actually.
Yeah, especially like his mannerisms. He could just go on stage. Fuck it.
My favorite bit of Steel Panther lore is that the guitarist was in Fight with Rob Halford.
Yeah.
Which is a very underrated band.
Russ Parrish. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like a Russ Parrish. He's a god. He's a god guitarist.
Very talented, and nobody takes him seriously because he's in this parody band. But the guy has serious fucking chops. Go listen to the Fight album. If you don't believe me, that first one, War of Words, is incredible.
Yeah, I listened to the entire thing recently, actually, like last week, because I was going down the rabbit hole and just kind of listening to all kinds of shit, Spotify, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that Russ Parrish touches, it's just because he's so godly. He's so talented. That's like that's the one thing I've always tried to replicate in guitar playing is. Like, that's the first thing I did. I think I was like 13 when I picked up a guitar, and I would learned like 2 power chords, which you only need like 2 of them. And then I immediately went to like lead shit, and I never went back. So 30 years or 20 years later, it's all I do is play like over the top lead stuff. And now I'm trying to get back and write stuff that's like riff oriented. It's hard.
I did see, I did the opposite. I did kind of best of times, worst of times. I started out knowing how to read sheet music and shit with I played saxophone and did jazz and the whole thing. And then by the time I got into guitar, I was into black metal, so I didn't have to learn to play guitar.
Yeah, you did.
There was no skill required there. I could just listen to the record and make a noise until it vaguely sounded like a song. And then, hey, you just wrote a fucking black metal tune. Fantastic.
Yeah, dude. That's what it's all about. So I keep seeing this thing because, like, you know, we haven't talked much. And I heard about this like a year ago. I was on a random show. I can't remember whose show I was on. And somebody mentioned you and your Michael Jackson defense. And I don't even know what that means. So can you explain to me what that is?
I did I just mentioned Metal Mythos, right? I kind of did a spin-off series. It's all the same series, Music Mythos, where I covered, you know, non-metal bands or rock bands, or I did one on Queen. I did one on Michael Jackson. And one of the big reasons that I did the Michael Jackson one was I wanted to cover the whole history of him as a solo artist anyways. After he left Motown, because like those early solo albums, he didn't really write those. They're not really Michael Jackson albums. They're more so Motown, like musician albums that they put together, and he just sort of sang on them. I think he wrote one song on one of those. But anyways, so Michael Jackson's career is really interesting because, you know, of course he goes from strength to strength. He releases the best-selling album of all time, Thriller, and then he signs with Sony, and suddenly it all gets really fucking hairy. And in the early 90s, of course, we heard about the allegations with the kid that he supposedly molested, and there's been documentaries about it and whatever. And it was a weird thing where growing up, I didn't necessarily think he was guilty, but it was more like, I just don't even want to get into that because I don't know enough about it. And I don't feel like sitting here like fucking Columbo, like questioning witnesses and looking over court documents and figuring out what actually happened. Because something about it never quite passed the smell test. The way the family sued him in civil court for money first, rather than go to police. And then the moment the police were interested in prosecuting, they took the money and ran, right? Like all that kind of stuff didn't really smell right. And then of course, it was everyone's business in the early 2000s when he had his trial. That was fucking everywhere. They broke into live news coverage of fucking Iraq and Afghanistan to talk about Michael Jackson's trial. It was huge. So, I started out in Music Mythos just touching on that particular subject and kind of talking about why the more I looked into it, the less likely the allegations seemed. And they were pretty cursory arguments. It wasn't, I used some evidence from the trials and whatnot, but mostly it was more like my impression of it. Then after that, I got so much feedback on it, good and bad, because people are very passionate on this subject, that I felt the need to do a follow-up. And I vaguely remember, I think what happened was I released that. Rich from Review Tech USA, that fucking autistic asteroid, he fucking got really cranky. He got his tits in a tizzy over it and said it was not true. And then he posted, there was a series of articles about how Michael Jackson had molested kids that he kept posting on his social media. And at that time I followed him because we kind of moved in the same circles. And finally I was like, all right, fuck this. And I released a full Michael Jackson rebuttal and basically dumped on this diabetic golem. And then that was so big, and I didn't even touch the surface in the first one. And then there were more developments too. Keep in mind, like between the first Michael Jackson rebuttal and the second, I think Wade Robson, who had defended Michael Jackson in court in the early 2000s, and James Safechuck, who was going to but didn't. Anyways, they were both defenders of Michael Jackson for years. They came out for money once again and accused Michael Jackson after his death of having molested them. And so I did a second part that touched on that a little bit. And then I did a third proper part where I really dismantled not just them, but their accusations and the documentary, which had just come out, Leaving Neverland. Right. Yeah. That was the big thing that came out several years ago. So, yeah, I wound up basically becoming the Michael Jackson rebuttal guy without really intending to. It was just that the story kept, like, there kept being new developments because Wade Robson and James Safechuck's cases kept moving forward.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this. I have always, and I actually, when I was on this show and I heard this, there was an intense debate happening where one person was like convinced that Michael Jackson was guilty, and then I was kind of like in the background. But I've always been a huge Michael Jackson fan. Like, for some reason, I have like 10 Michael Jackson songs on my metal playlist, and it doesn't make much sense, but I do.
Well, and I'm not. That's another interesting thing. I mean, I'm a fan of him now, but growing up, I wasn't really. I heard the Dangerous album when I was really young, liked it, didn't own it, had a friend who really, really liked Michael Jackson. He was a big fan. Like, my best friend was a big fan.
Yeah.
My mom, I guess, growing up, really liked Michael Jackson. She was one of those, I liked him till he started looking weird kind of people. There's a lot of people who fall in that category, like boomers and whatnot. So she was a big fan of him on like the Thriller album and Bad and whatever. But like, it gradually became a bigger thing because I looked more into the allegations. It wasn't really about fandom. I became a fan later, you know, it really wasn't about that.
And there was never really like any hard evidence to really like link him to anything that I've ever seen. You know, is there any of that?
It was he said, she said.
Yeah, yeah.
And the police questioned witnesses and their descriptions of, for example, his genitals didn't match, which is why they didn't enter it into evidence in 2005. That's another thing people don't realize is basically they tried both cases at once. California allows you to try 1108 evidence, which means evidence of prior bad acts. So in 1993, they had a bunch of evidence that wasn't used because the family took the money and ran and didn't cooperate. So in 2005, they had the opportunity to question those witnesses and introduce that evidence. And they did. And Michael Jackson was acquitted on 14 fucking counts, including 4 lesser misdemeanors. So like they couldn't get him on anything, including giving alcohol to a minor, the whole Jesus juice nonsense. You remember that, right? That was bloody murder headlines for a long time. Turned out to be total bullshit. And they couldn't prove any of it. And in fact, probably the most persuasive thing about the trial and the reason why it ended early and why Michael Jackson was so roundly exonerated was because witnesses started breaking down on the witness stand, like admitting this thing didn't happen or that thing didn't happen that way, or they kept backing up on their stories. Tom Mesereau just demolished them. And it's unfortunate because I did the same thing for the Bill Cosby accusations, which I'm not sure if the accusations are true, but I did make a video because I don't feel like he got a fair trial.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, the state agrees, which is why he's out of prison right now. He really didn't get a fair trial. That was massive prosecutorial misconduct. But the same thing happened in that case. The same lawyer just got these women to admit they fabricated their stories on the stand. And somehow in the public eye, it still doesn't matter. People just assume
they don't care.
Both men are guilty. Yeah.
They don't get I'll have a friend, you know, like in passing, and I'll like a Michael Jackson song will come on shuffle. And I'm like, man, I just, you know, I fucking adore Michael Jackson's music. I always have. And they're like, didn't he like molest a lot of kids? And I'm like,
yeah, you always get that.
No, why is this always like, no, like people just say shit. It's just, it's like it's no matter if he did or if he didn't, like, you know, even if he's proven innocent, which he was, it doesn't matter in the public eye. It's kind of like how the whole Johnny Depp thing went down. Even like, forever, there will still be women and men, little tiny effeminate men that will say, you know, that Johnny Depp isn't the guy that like beat his his ex-wife? I'm like, no.
Which is why she leaked that video, which is happening more and more. You get this perfect storm of there's a higher rate than ever of women diagnosed with BPD and HPD, which are personality disorders that require massive performative defamatory acts, you know, of theatricality against the person you used to idolize. So you combine that with a prominent public relationship dude, we're gonna see so much more of this in the future. People don't realize Johnny Depp. What is he, a fucking pharaoh? Johnny Depp is he is the tip of the iceberg. We're gonna see so much more of this in the future.
Yeah, and I feel like just allegations are easily enough. I don't know anything about the Danny Masterson trial. All I know is when I looked back at evidence, just because I was curious one day, and I was like, oh, let me look back at like the evidence that was presented in trial, and apparently there was no physical evidence.
None. And it worries me too. Look, they got a conviction. I'll assume he's guilty. But I am looking into it. And the thing that bothers me the most is really, it seems that he was convicted with the testimony of someone who, like, apparently Danny Masterson was trying to pull away from Scientology. Really what happens is he gets a trial. It's basically a no contest. They throw it out. Then, and they didn't really mention Scientology in that trial, like hardly at all. Some kind of judicial order, like, okay, you can't introduce Scientology here. This is about whether or not he assaulted these women. That's all it needs to be about. That's what the judge said. Then they have a second trial, and suddenly it's the Scientology show, which turns it into a 3-ring shit show every time because everyone spurgs out about Scientology. I don't know the first fucking thing about Scientology, but anytime you mention it in a crowd of fucking people, right? People just start throwing turds. It just is what it is. It's a natural reflex. So surprise, surprise, the second trial where they suddenly start mentioning Scientology a bunch, that's the one where they get the conviction. And the thing that bothers me is the situation with, apparently he was being audited. And the person who takes the audit says, hearsay, ladies and gentlemen, says that he admitted to assaulting these women in the audit. And it's like, but then you look at the auditor, they're no longer with Scientology, and he's trying to leave Scientology. So Scientology actually has a vested interest in defaming him. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. I don't know if he'll get another trial or what'll happen there. It just, it doesn't pass the smell test. Doesn't mean he's not guilty. I want to make that clear, but it definitely seems like he had a bit of a show trial.
Yeah, and as soon as you say, something smells weird about this trial, people will jump all over you. They're like, "Oh, so you're saying he's did that?" And you're like, "No, I'm
that's distinct." Yeah, that is distinct from saying he is innocent.
Yes,
I feel the same way about Cosby.
Yeah,
maybe he did it. He didn't get a fair trial. He did not get a fair trial. That's why he's out of prison. And by the way, if you want women to receive justice in these trials, you should actually want them to receive a fair trial, because if Bill Cosby had been prosecuted properly and without all the prosecutorial misconduct, he'd still be in prison. If you think he's guilty, then you should want for this Me Too motherfuckery to stop. You should want us to slam the brakes hard as shit, because that's the only way these women are actually going to get justice, if indeed you think Bill Cosby did all of these things.
Exactly. It's very, very important. Patrick O'Brien says, "Hey, y'all, been down on the reality that I'm going to pay 30% taxes for years to come. It sucks to finally be doing well, then getting hit. How do you have the motivation to work when so much gets confiscated?" Man, I don't even want to talk about this because,
bro, do you do YouTube primarily for income? Like, is it your gig?
This is my 5th year. Yeah.
Okay. So having to file that 1099, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Nobody gets punished by the government harder. I mean, it is just an anal deflowering every time you file taxes. I never had to pay as much in taxes when I worked for, the man, for some corporation or what. Never in my fucking life. Nobody gets punished harder with taxes than people who work independently.
There's the 12% self-employment tax, which is literally just hey, it's like, are you self-employed? It's like, well, yeah, I guess. And it's like, well, give me $7,000.
Yeah. Like, well, fuck you. And it's like, what message is that sending? Like, fucking, any idea how many of the founding fathers were fucking self-employed? Like, what the fuck? This entire country was founded by people who are fucking self-employed. And now we punish people for being self-employed. This is essentially, this is what I'm talking about with basically, we have a mercantilist economy. Like our country is basically, people will blame corporations in lieu of the government, but they're not understanding that it's one and the same. Like, these corporations are permanent because of the government, and the government is permanent because of the corporations. This is a masturbatory coven of self-interest, and regulation, by the way, is basically the cords keeping all of this together. More regulation is going to make it worse.
And what I always tell people is, because for some odd reason, there's people that exist that are like, we need taxes, my roads, my schools. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Anyways, but these people there, if you are in favor of income tax, there is the only people I've ever seen that are in favor are people that have never paid into it.
Yep.
Like, I actually have a friend. This is my favorite story to tell. I have a friend that, making 28, 32 grand our entire 20s. Finally, he like changes careers, finishes his degree, gets a job making like 68, 70 grand a year, gets to his taxes, doesn't get his tax return because that's over, boy. You don't get that shit no more. He went from Bernie 2016 to taxation is theft overnight.
Absolutely.
Overnight.
Yeah. Every single time. You see that again and again and again. And now with all the climate taxes and whatever, like, you get more and more of this. Like, if we just tax people more, we can lower the temperature of the earth. Like, motherfucker, if higher taxes and more government spending lowered the temperature of the earth, I'd be riding a fucking Muppet on Hoth right now. This is bullshit, bro.
Yeah.
You have any idea how much we get taxed?
God,
shit.
It's like when you get your pay, it's taxed, and then when you use your pay to pay for something, it's taxed like twice. And it's just $1 is taxed like 10 times.
Right. You ever read
Crazy.
the old comic? Is the old comedy comic by Sergio Argoniez, Gru?
I don't know. I might have. I'm not
It's
sure.
good. It's kind of a parody of like Conan or something like that. Anyway, it's like a total retard in like a medieval fantasy like environment. Anyway, it's genius. There's this great issue of that comic or graphic novel or whatever that's all about this king that goes crazy with taxes, and there's a complaining about the taxes tax, and there's a worrying about the taxes tax. Oh man, it's genius. You guys got to look this up.
Gosh, if only people 300 years ago knew how much we were going to be getting taxed now. And then there are still people like when I was on Twitter back in the day, there was people still advocating for more tax, and people have this weird like thought process that they're like, oh, well, I don't mean like anybody I know. I mean like only the billionaires. I'm like, that's not how that works.
That isn't how that works.
They are people that are in power are not going to tax themselves into poverty. It will always get shuffled down to my dumb ass every time.
Well, and who's passing the taxes? It's senators, representatives, whatever. People, in other words, who can be prevailed upon by lobbyists. People will demonize the lobbyists without realizing this is a function of regulation, that the more regulation you pass, the more lobbyists there are, right? Yep. So the politician stays in power and continues to get paid. The corporation gets the regulation they want. By the way, this is the biggest fucking misnomer in the world. Everyone thinks the left in this country create this false dichotomy of the corporations want less regulation. Bull fucking shit they do. They want more regulation. They want more taxes. That's why every fucking year, Microsoft donate millions to the party of regulation, the Democratic Party. Do you know why? Because they can pay those fucking taxes and regulatory fees. Their prospective competitors cannot. It creates a barrier of entry, and that makes monopolies permanent. I did a video about this a few months ago, but
it's this weird. It's the same way I looked at politics when I was like a kid, and that's what's embarrassing about the whole situation. Is I was a kid, I was a redneck kid in a trailer park, and I looked at politics how actual adults still look at it today. They look at Democrats as being for the poor and liking people of color, and conservatives love corporations and just want to be rich and make rich richer. And I'm like, that is like not even kind of accurate at all. As you get older and you like actually look into anything.
Yeah, I mean, really fast. We have one party. Let's be real. We have the uniparty. The Republican Party is still this is just the plain honest truth. I mean, it's the thing no one wants to accept. The Republican Party is still the same party they were in 1862. They're a progressive statist party. That's why people like Trump are such a threat, is because they're essentially attempting to remake the party in a populist image. The Republican Party was never populist from the beginning. For Christ's sake, Lincoln ordered troops off the line at Gettysburg to fire on U.S. citizens because they were protesting the draft and income tax. Like, this is a statist party, guys. This is a fucking statist party. The only thing that happened is after the Civil War, the Democrats just became statist too. That's it. There was no partisan flip. Just one party changed. The Jeffersonian wing of that party went away, and the former Whig, statist, more Lincolnian, Hamiltonian wing kept. And so we really haven't had a choice. Every now and then, we'll have a politician, usually on the Republican side, but sometimes on the Democratic side, who recognizes that there's a massive block of voters who are not being served, populist voters, people who want more of a Jeffersonian small government, states' rights kind of a thing. And I still think that's a large number of people. It's not a fringe. And it never is. The specter of this populism always comes back every few generations or so. In the later kind of progressive era, William Howard Taft made that transformation. You had Coolidge, you had McKinley, those kind of guys. Then a little later, you had Goldwater. Reagan kind of paid some lip service to that, but like Pat Buchanan in the early 90s, late 80s, that was a big part of that. And Trump, who he's not an ideologue. I want to make that clear. He's not like a paleocon, but Trump is kind of harnessing that underrepresented, paleocon kind of voting bloc. You'll see that every now and then, but understand that's an insurgency, and more Trump supporters need to recognize that, because the sooner you accept the fact that you are a dissident from what is essentially a uniparty, the sooner you will be a much more fucking effective dissident. Trump's attempting a takeover of the Republican Party. He's not a Republican. They're Republicans. They're not rhinos. You know what I mean? They are Republicans. It's just that Trump is trying to remake the party from the bottom up.
Yeah. Which is probably why Republicans also dislike him. Lance Corporal Hawk says, mentioned on Razor's last stream that I'd started listening to the Lord of the Ring audiobooks. Highly recommend the Andy Serkis versions. His voice is excellent as a narrator, and his Gollum voice is held up. Plus, they're on YouTube free. Well, I mean, it's Andy Serkis. Like that's like his whole deal is if he's the one narrating it, you listen to that version. Absolutely. I would listen to him narrate shit, anything.
Who read it back in the day? I do have to say there was a good audiobook. Clive Reville read Lord of the Rings back in the day, and that is a good audiobook. That's the original Emperor Palpatine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he looks like he would just sound like a badass.
Right? Amazing voice, just pure evil, like Tony J, like one of those kind of voices.
What a beautiful man. Squid. Just going to point out that the Domino's did a better job fixing potholes than the city is responsible for fixing potholes. Man, okay, so I race in like a small like NASCAR series, and
my grandpa did too. By the way, he was a NASCAR driver.
That's awesome. I'm a NASCAR wrecker. No, had a devastating wreck last weekend. It was wild. But anyways, so every time I get in my hauler and I drive, I'm in Alabama. And I drive over the Tennessee line. You can see it says, "Welcome to Tennessee." It's coming. Right. You can see the line on the road. And it's like goes from this nice paved road, and you can see it getting like really pale. And as soon as you hit it, it's like, I'm like, dude, what the hell's wrong with Tennessee? And no one said, what are they just not paying tax here, Mr. Person on Twitter that thinks it goes to your roads for some reason?
Like, shit, you don't even have to go all the way to Tennessee. Fucking, you ever been to Chicago?
Oh, God.
Shit, what are they getting taxed over there? How many fucking potholes do their roads have right in the middle of downtown, right in the financial district? Like, what the fuck?
It's wild. It's wild, man. People think that the trillions in taxes are going towards the roads. I'm like, God, you silly bastards.
No, yeah, and spoiler alert, most of those roads get built by private companies anyway. They're just contracted by the fucking government. So here's a thought. Cut the fucking government out. It'll probably be cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So great segue. So, my ex-wife worked for, on base. She worked, in a high security job on base, years ago. And, she told me like basically the inner workings of I guess, what they did on base. And there would be problems they needed fixed, or maybe they would need a 12 by 12 room painted on base, and they would contract it out, and it would be something like $25,000 to paint a 12 by 12 room for like an hour, or like $10,000 to replace one receptacle in an office building. And I'm like, bro, I would have done it for like $1,000. What do you, you know what I'm saying? And that's where your taxes go, to these inflated budgets. My friend that was in the military said that at the end of like certain periods, they would just go up in their whatever plane he used, some old plane from like 1971, and they would just fly around in circles for 13 hours and burn fuel. I'm like, that's wild. He's like, well, we have to keep our budgets up. I'm like, what? Hold on, damn it. I had to give you like 38 grand last year. What are you doing? Like,
yeah, that sounds about right.
God, it's outrageous. Speaking of outrageous, we got Karis joining the chat with a $50 super chat. My God. Said, did hell freeze over, or is that Razor on the CAMELCast? Damn, times are getting interesting. Thank you, Karis. It is indeed. Or it's a young Alice Cooper. Same thing. Thank you, Karis.
Right.
Yeah.
I either get that or Bret Hitman Hart with AIDS.
With AIDS. With serious AIDS. No, yeah. Thank you, Karis. I love you. I appreciate that, man. I have this thing I do called Naked Snake. Where I when I hit a certain super chat goal, I put on a bandana and take my shirt off. And somebody told me to ask you about Metal Gear, because it's my favorite. Metal Gear Solid's my favorite franchise of all time. I'm playing the third one again right now. I have a PS2 sitting here on my.
That's okay. No one's perfect.
Oh, look at it. Beautiful. It's just sitting here. I play that like Resident Evil, like 1, 2, and 3 all the time, and those are the goats. But man, I just like, I feel like Metal Gear is almost like Lord of the Rings for me. It's like an experience. It's not even a video game. It's just an experience.
That's unfortunate. I fucking hate Metal Gear, and I hate Hideo Kojima.
Really? Oh, damn.
But no, I enjoy the old MSX games a lot, the originals. But I am not a big fan of Metal Gear Solid. There were so much better stealth games on the market at the time. Tenchu came out first, and in my opinion, is better. And Thief came out after the same year, and is also better. And I'm a big Thief fan. That's the thing. There's a bit of rivalry going on there, but I do still play some Metal Gear Solid games, and I don't hate them. I just think you could do better for stealth, right? Yeah. I'm a big fan of the thrill of intrusion, the atmosphere of it. Like Thief has that in spades. Some other games, Tenchu even has a really good kind of atmosphere. Splinter Cell has fantastic kind of, you're in somewhere you shouldn't be, sneaking around, sort of. You know, whereas Metal Gear, and my big criticism for a long time, actually Warren Spector, the creator of Deus Ex, called this out years ago. Where he was talking about, he had just made Thief Deadly Shadows, I think, and he's doing an interview. And he says, this isn't like a fake stealth game where you play the radar and you call it stealth. Because the early Metal Gear Solid games, you could literally just look at the radar. Top right corner. You didn't even have to pay attention to what was going on screen. That's my problem. It's mostly just that it's a bit vacuous. And also, I guess I like pissing off the fanboys. I made a video called The Cult of Kojima that still makes people mad to this day. I still get comments on it every other day or so. But yeah, it's really not that intensive an antipathy. I do still play them sometimes. And I do think, I don't know if you would agree with this. I'm not a big fan of the Phantom Pain, but the thing that I like about Phantom Pain is that they deepened the stealth mechanics themselves.
Yeah. I like the gameplay a lot.
Yeah. Like, I don't think the story in that was that great. And I don't think there were things that I didn't like. And of course it was unfinished as fuck at the end. Yeah. But I love that they finally added, okay, if it's nighttime, you're not as visible. What a fucking concept. Like basic stuff. Yeah. I feel like the actual gameplay of the Metal Gear Solid series got better from an actual like stealth and feedback system standpoint, if that makes sense.
I loved 5. I played the living hell out of 5. It just felt like this weird empty husk, like you said, like completely unfinished. Like, because there was hours of just nothing at some points. I mean, you're doing your missions and whatnot, but there's like no like background story. You're just kind of walking around. It's weird.
Which is odd because like, isn't that kind of true of his next game, Death Stranding too?
Yeah,
a little bit. Like, I don't know if Kojima is necessarily made for open world games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's probably better in a linear sort of like move from set piece to set piece kind of situation.
Yeah, that I was one of the only people that really I enjoyed that game, Death Stranding, but probably because it had a goofy vibe and would play low roar as you're just walking around. I kind of like that. But I also didn't finish it, and I decided to just watch the story on YouTube because I didn't want to play it anymore. So I just watched like what happened, the cutscenes, I guess.
Wow. The allegory in that was like as subtle as a charging bull. Fucking, hey, my guy's name is Bridges, and he builds bridges between people, and he has a fucking disorder where he can't be touched, and fucking, oh my God. And the whole build the wall thing. What was Hideo Kojima gave an interview around the time of that release where he was like, in America, they are building walls. They are building walls. I want to build bridges between the people. It was fucking hilarious. It was like the most boomer fucking dem talking point.
That was you know what it reminds me of? That reminds me of women. It's like I don't know why, but it's like it's easy to say this because like say like you know you're a woman and like you're with like a man and the man's really wealthy and it's like, well, I'm not with you because you're wealth. I could be with somebody that's not wealthy. And I'm like, yeah, it's easy to say that when you're not. And like, you're in Japan, Hideo Kojima, like you're in like 99.8% Japanese people. Like the most you have to worry about is like a guy like with a pocket knife on a bus somewhere, maybe.
I don't think Hideo Kojima's even seen a Mexican. I don't think even in newspapers. Right?
No, you best believe if Hideo Kojima came to Alabama and went down Tuscaloosa Avenue, he'd be like, "Oh no, I'm going home." You know what I'm saying? Because they'd be like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing here?" You're like, "Oh shit."
How's that different from the American left, though? Look,
Yeah,
I was born and raised. I was born and raised in South Phoenix. It's a fucking satellite state of Tijuana, Mexico. All right, I was raised. All my best friends growing up were Mexicans, right? That's just that area. But you would always see there was this freeway that was under construction when I was a kid, and it kind of connected us with Tucson, which connected us closer with the border, which caused a lot more Hispanic migration, right? Once it was finished. Once that shit was finished, the white lefties that were in, upper income people in the neighborhood were all like, "Oh, look, Muffy, a Mexican. My goodness, I suppose we'll have to move to Scottsdale, won't we? Oh, my goodness. Wait till I tell Eunice over at the country club about this."
Yeah,
fucking every single fucking time, dude.
What is it? It's like it's easy to say. Like I was saying, it's easy to say from like the third floor balcony of like your mansion home when you're scrolling Twitter that, we should let people in. And then of course, when they show up on your doorstep, you're like, no, actually, it's a great point. Have you seen that video? It takes place in the UK, or I think London. And there's all these people protesting for letting refugees in. And this guy goes around and is like, "Hey, I have a paper here and you can adopt a refugee to stay in your home right now." And he was being super serious about it. Like, and he went to like every person and like, no, I don't have room. It's like, wait, where are they going to stay? That's the whole point, you goofy bastard. Like
that was brilliant. That was probably DeSantis's like shining hour in terms of just optics. Like that was an optics kill shot.
Yeah.
Because they basically couldn't do anything that didn't sound bigoted by their own standards, right? So they just tiptoed around landmines on it. My one big gripe with that, though, is DeSantis had no follow through, right? When they shipped him out, he didn't do a fucking thing. He didn't ship more over there. He backed off, basically, which I wonder why that was. If maybe they threatened to pull aid or something for Florida or what the fuck, but that was hilarious when that happened.
I love when they're like, "Yeah, we're no longer a sanctuary city." And like, it's like, oh, no shit. So you don't like walking down the alley and a guy's like, "Hey, that's it," and just stabs you in the ass cheek. Yeah, of course, it sucks. No one wants to be stabbed in their ass cheek unless you're like a woman and it's like fleshy. That's
exactly. Pretty much the only city that has any large Hispanic population, like is proximitous enough to Mexico for it to even affect them demographically all that much, that is a sanctuary city, is like LA or San Diego. And most of that is just vote farming. Let's be real. Cheap labor and vote farming. They're the only ones.
Yep.
New York, New Jersey. It's cute to say you're a fucking sanctuary, but look how fucking far you are from Mexico. Like, it doesn't matter. It's basically just virtue signaling, for Christ's sake. You hear that in Detroit, and like fucking Mexicans would go to Detroit. Seriously. But like anyone would go to Detroit.
Yeah. That's what, there was actually this really interesting thing where it was one of those cities, I don't remember, that's somewhere in California, and they voted, like some politician came into power, put some structures in place to like build affordable housing. It was like a zoning law or something, and they were going to build affordable housing in this area, and actual like celebrities showed up to the like meeting and was demanding them like vote the other way because they didn't want those people in their areas because it would lower their property values. And I'm like, oh, so you don't want them around you? It's like, yeah, bring them in as long as I don't have to look at them. All right, because they're gross.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want that. Get away from me.
Yeah. Here in Phoenix, we have a light rail public transit system that was voted on like years the fuck ago. It's a total goat fuck. It loses millions of dollars every year, but its primary utility appears to be to shuttle homeless people from South Phoenix to north, right? But it's like all the people who voted on it are all in these fucking bluish areas, upper income. They're in Deer Valley. They're in fucking Scottsdale. They're in wherever the fuck. And they never have to live with the consequences of it, right? When that thing went in, like 911 calls went up like 70 to 80% in some fucking neighborhoods because people were literally getting off of at the light rail station, burglarizing houses, getting back on the light rail and going back wherever the fuck they came from, right? Like that.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Anyone who's in a position where they're allowed to make a determination on something and they have no actual stakes in the outcome.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's
easy. It's easy for them to say, like, I support this thing when they never have to actually encounter. It's like those 19-year-old white ladies that go to North Africa to prove it's not like unsafe, and then they immediately get beheaded.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like well, actually, it turns out North Africa is not safe at all.
Yeah,
it's the people like it's mainly white women. It's something about white women. Like they have this weird misconception that every culture is like theirs when they grew up in upper middle class. Like everyone's like us. They're generous. And then there's this big influx of like Somalians in like Maine.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, they're going to be so happy because we're going to give them government assistance. They're going to be so thankful. And then they show up screaming and like breaking windows at the government building saying, give me my money you promised me. They don't give a fuck. It's not the same culture, man.
Well, look at the media they consume, dude. Look at the MSNBC. Like, look at the entertainment media they consume. Fucking Wakanda Forever and shit. Like, this is their perception of minorities because they live in fucking white areas. They never interact with black people or Mexican or anybody. They don't have any realistic perception of what the world is like or any. This is part of my problem with our border policies. Like, when was the last time anyone on the left, or frankly, anyone on the right who is fine with open borders? The fucking lulberts. You hear this all the time. The goddamn libertarians who are all about open borders. When the fuck is the last time you went to Mexico except on fucking spring break? Like, do you have any idea what it's like? There are entire neighborhoods that don't even have sanitation zoning. There's fucking corpses on the sides of the streets and shit. This is what people are fleeing, and it's going to continue being that way until you shut the fucking border and force them to deal with their problems. Like, this is my big problem with that in general is, at what point do we acknowledge aloud that Mexico has a right to be a good country too? Like, at what point do we acknowledge, hey, maybe they can deal with their own shit and actually stop being an utter shitmire, like just an absolute open air fucking murder factory? I mean, of the 12 major conflicts raging in the world right now, the second most deadly, and it's not even a declared war, is the cartel violence.
Yep. That's what I was about to say. Yep. 100%. And
insane. And we helped that happen. with our border policy. Having an open border allows basically all the people who would have revolted a long fucking time ago or demanded a reform. It allows them to come up here and live as poor people. Let's be real. It's an elevated form of poverty, but it's still poverty. While they're working at Home Depot or fucking McDonald's or some shit.
Yep. And one thing one country you can actually look at for a perfect experiment is Sweden. So Sweden had that giant influx of like refugees, right? And then their like grape statistics went up. It became like the grape capital of the world within like a year.
Yeah, careful with that word. You might get your social media accounts banned again.
Oh shit. Oops. I'm so surprised. It's been like a month, 200 appeals later, and the Quartering tweeted it out. You know, Nick Rekieta, all these huge accounts were like, hey, can you unban Camelot 331? And Twitter's like, no. Over a joke of a Chad guy behind bars. How could they do this to me? How could they do this? Patrick O'Brien, what gets me about the 30% net taxes over the course of 10 years, 3 years of your hard work is confiscated. It's hard not to do the math and not see yourself as an indentured servant. Why do we stay and endure this? Yeah, well, it's so we don't go to jail. Thank you, Patrick, by the way. I love you. And it reminds me, Patrick, of your orange boy, reminds me of a green boy from Tiki. Says property tax is the worst. They pick the value of your home and land and tax you on it, pay off your home, still got to pay tax and come. You never own it. And man, I don't know about you, but I bought a house 2013 and the property tax was $680 a year.
Yeah.
And by the time I sold that house, it was like $1,100. I bought a new house. The first year it was $1,600. Second year it was $3,600, and I got a bill like 3 weeks ago for $8,000 property tax. It has went up like 6,000% in the last 5 years.
Absolute insanity.
It's
Absolute
crazy.
insanity. It's because we allow these little incremental violations of our property rights that we allow that gradually builds to larger ones. One of the ones that pisses me off is all the fucking laws associated with cars and traffic, right? Like just little fucking, okay, I have to, so wait a minute. Let me see if I understand this. Every 1 to 2 years, I have to pay the government to continue to be allowed to use my own property.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
And it, depending on where I live, I might have to actually fucking truck my ass over to some emissions testing station in order to get the green light to fucking use my car. Oh shit, your car, it's emitting too much shit. Don't mind all those fucking Raytheon factories and shit that we allowed to come into the state, and they're totally exempt from emissions. Never mind that 80% of all aerial pollutants come from the fucking factories, from the corporations that are all paying our asses. No. Your ground vehicle. That's the goddamn problem. Your fucking Firebird or Yugo or whatever the fuck.
Man,
that's the problem. So,
dude,
it's those little violations of your property rights that get you because they build to the bigger ones.
Yeah, I would be screwed because every car I have is straight popped. I sold my Mustang. I had a 5.0 like from a few years ago. Straight popped it, sold it, and I have an Audi R8 that I just bought, straight popped, and it's just loud as fuck. But I live in Alabama, man. You ain't gotta do shit here now, but you still have to register, and it's expensive as hell. But yeah, I'd be absolutely screwed. And the craziest shit I ever experienced was I never drove a Mustang. I had a goofy little Hyundai Veloster that I had for like 10 years that I was paid off that I would use for work. And I drove it, and the Mustang sat in my driveway. And I remember I had a code ordinance violation on my door one day, and I look it up, and it's about like having an unregistered vehicle in your driveway. And I thought it was a trailer because I had my hauler for my race car sitting beside my house. So I was like, oh, that's what that is. I call up there. Guy comes down to my house. It was my Mustang. He said, oh, your plate is facing the road, and I saw that it was expired. Therefore, I gave you a code violation because you have to get it registered or put it in your garage so no one can see it. And if you don't, within 2 weeks, they'll tow it and auction it off. And it's paid off. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've had that shit. I waited a while to get my tags updated on one of my cars. This was years ago. It was like 2010 or something like that. Just waited a while because I had two cars, right? I was driving around in the other one. And some neighbor or some just asshole driving past decided to fucking report a goddamn tag. How little do you have going on in your life if you're reporting fucking tags on cars?
Old 70-year-old man.
By the way, this is deep in a suburban neighborhood. This is like you would This isn't near some major roadway where people can just see it. There's a fucking covered garage. There's like, what the fuck? But that shit happens all the time, bro.
Dude, it is wild. It is absolutely wild. My neighbor he put his house up for sale like a year ago and it never sold because he's asking like 80 grand above market value. And he's an old man. And dude, if I crack a fart loudly, like outside, he'll call like the code violation people. I think I've had like 15 since I've lived here. I bought this house a year and a half ago. I've had like 15 code violations because he just keeps calling. Oh, a lot is broke or something's in my driveway. Like there's a rake that the lawn guy left out. He'll call. He's crazy as fuck.
Get this man a girlfriend.
Dude, he's like a 75-year-old like French guy. And it's because he claims that all these things that I do is why people aren't buying his house. And I'm like, that's not how this works. People just buy. It's like maybe
do it even harder. Do it even put like fucking bathtubs in your front yard. Put a goddamn rasty couch. Fucking do it.
Just put like an extra large dildo from Alibaba.
Yes,
like in the driveway.
Big double dragon donger right at the top of a fucking fountain, just spraying off every fucking hour.
Hell yes. And he's 75, so I make it black for sure.
Yes.
And he'll be even more offended. But what the fuck?
The Leslie Jones donger.
Right. Sparky McSparksworth with a $20 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I love you. I appreciate you, dude, for all the support. Johnny Niez says, what's good, Cam? Oh, hell. Razor Force and taxation is theft. Oh, my God. Yes, it is. God, my friend Zia, we have a show every Saturday, and we get on taxation is theft every Saturday.
Well, yeah, if you're both independently employed, it's fucking foremost in your mind. The government makes sure of that. Shit.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, they're putting all these new people in the IRS or recruiting all these people or hiring all these people definitely to go after the billionaires. No, they're going after that guy that pays you $600 on PayPal. That's who they're going after.
You think Biden went after fucking PayPal because he's worried, whoever Bill Gates is doing a lot of PayPal transfers? No, fuck that. It's suburban moms and shit. That's who he's going after. He's going after everyone.
And it's going after people that mentally are terrified. Like, dude, I'm used to it by now. But the first time I got a letter from the IRS after I had paid in full, I got a letter from the IRS like 6 months later, and they're like, "Hey, we've reevaluated your tax returns." I don't know why they still call it return. And it's like, and you owe $5,800 more. And I'm like, what?
Are you like me? Do you literally have like a side fund for just that kind of bullshit?
100%.
I literally do that all year. I just stack cash just in a separate account because I know some IRS bullshit is coming.
Yep, and it happens. It happens every year, sometimes a couple times, and they're preying on people that are like terrified, like they're going to go to the prison. So they're like, well, if we send this to these people, these are the people paying. And then I have friends that'll tell me they have not filed their taxes in 10 years and they make like a lot of money. And I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't fair. Abolish the IRS, please, God.
Yeah, I had a grandfather on one side of my family who was deeply Italian and ran a waste disposal business. Didn't pay taxes a day in his life, didn't pay for it until the very, very end when he was already almost out the door, right? He was almost dead. And suddenly the feds catch on to, hey, wait a minute. This guy's a fucking open-shirted, gradient sunglasses, gold chain around the neck fucking mafioso. What the fuck? Yeah. This guy should be paying some goddamn taxes.
That's what they get you on.
That literally happened.
Yeah, if you're like a mobster, that's what they do. It's like, oh, we think you killed 90 people. And it's like, yeah, maybe. But you don't have no proof of it, coppa. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to jail for like tax evasion.
Well,
oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oops.
Arizona used to be like run by the mob for a while. Like, fucking Sammy the Bull came out here and he was running a whole operation out here. It was the whole thing.
Yeah, dude. I remember reading a story where this guy, he went to like this Italian pizza joint, like in this like rundown area. And he goes in and there's no one in there. And he walks up and some guy like walks up and he orders a pizza. And the guy was like so surprised, like asking him, like, are you sure? Like you want, like, so he had to go back there, make a pizza for this guy. And it looks like the place has never like made food before. And then he like leaves and he's like, it was a great pizza. And I'm like, that was definitely a front for the mob. It's not a real place.
It probably was a good pizza though.
He said it was the best pizza he ever had. Yeah, because that dude's back there like, finally my time. Because he's the guy that runs the shop for all the like big guys. So he's over there like, I'm finally gonna make an impression.
Yeah.
It's a great pizza. You know,
finally, Nunzio's time to shine. Shit.
God, I love, dude. I don't know why. I used to resist it so hard when I was younger because my mom was always like, "You got to watch Casino. You got to watch The Godfather," and I'm like, "I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch the mob shit." And then, of course, when I was in my late teens, I started like dapping, like, you know, Scarface and watching all these movies, and I fucking loved every one of them. Like, they're all masterpieces. I love every damn one of them. I even love the Henry Hill one with the I can't even remember the name of it right now, but you know the one with Henry Hill and
I assume you watch Sopranos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Loved. People were pissed off at the ending. I thought it was perfect. You know,
sometimes, I mean, here's the thing: when you're ending a show that people love that much, you're always going to get people bitching. Yeah. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. I was fine with the last episode of Seinfeld, which everyone hates.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, and it's the theory behind it was like what happened because like the music is playing, "Don't stop, believe," and you're like, "This is great," and then it just goes silent, and then like I think the director eventually, or the writer eventually, like explained what that meant, and I'm like, "It was great. It's fantastic. Loved it. It's a great show." That and but I didn't watch Sopranos until 3 years ago.
Yeah, fuck. At least you got an ending. I was a Deadwood fan. We didn't get shit. We got a couple of movies like 10 years later.
Oh, it's like Firefly. I remember I loved Firefly, and then it was just over. And then they had the Serenity movie, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted more." And now it's 20 years later, and everybody's old and fat.
I don't know if you feel this way, but I think there's something to be said for a show that just kind of ends and it's just another episode. Right? Yeah. Like, it's not a big fanfare. It's not a big thing starting a debate. It's just another episode of the show, and it happens to be the last one. I think that's kind of okay. In a weird way, the last episode of Deadwood kind of works.
It's like Futurama. They did that like 9 times. It kept ending.
That's they've been canceled fucking 2,000 times. What the fuck?
And it just comes back, and I'm like, all right, I guess it's back again, and I just watch it again. And
seriously, it's like the DSP of fucking cartoons. What the fuck is with this show? You cannot keep this goddamn show. You can't kill Futurama. You can't kill DSP, except maybe with Tennis Elbow. I don't know.
Oh gosh, that video, I'll never forget it. I still think it was purposeful. You
think it was purposeful?
I think it was purposeful. Like it was a marketing thing. He was just trying to get some eyeballs on his channel. Maybe if I just beat my dick. How do you? And also, like, what? Who just sits in their YouTube like area and just beats their dick? Like, just seems like a terrible place to do it. Right in front of your camera.
That doesn't seem strategically sound.
Yeah, if that was gonna happen, I'd throw a damn freaking towel on my camera just in case. Maybe knock it over. I don't know what the hell. I don't want you hearing nothing. Oh God.
Go get the trained circus bear out of the cage.
Yeah, I mean, how could you do it like in this area, dude? I still have like the grandma thoughts. I don't know if you do, but when I was a kid, I remember being a kid and like, you know, I would like light some candles, get ready. You know how it is.
Light some candles. You play the little Kenny G.
Beautiful. And then I would just imagine like my grandma who had passed away a long time ago is just like watching, and I'm just like, oh shit. You know, like, and I still do that to this day. I'm like, oh, but DSP has never thought about his grandma. He has his camera pointing at his penis. He didn't even care.
Joke's on you. I'm into that shit.
That's why I do it, actually. Like, you're watching grandma. Like,
it's like, maybe that's why I turned out to be an exhibitionist. What the fuck?
She would be so disappointed in me. Fire PA. Attention, Borean workers. Gul Dukak did nothing wrong.
You haven't watched DS9.
Nope.
You should. It's a good show.
What is it? Deep Space?
Deep Space Nine, yeah.
Deep Space. I've heard that so many times. There's a lot of things that I didn't catch, and I need to go back and watch certain things.
Yeah, if you dig sci-fi, it is one of the best.
Yeah, I remember watching through a few years ago, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I watched through like Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston all the way up until Matt Smith.
Jesus.
And I was like, you know, Matt Smith stuff was all right, but I really enjoyed like that first little 4-season like start. And then I stopped watching it because it started getting I just didn't really care for it after that. But there's just so much stuff that I missed. I watched oh my gosh, there's a movie. It's the trilogy movie that's The Thing is considered. There's The Thing, there's something else, and then there's the Sound of Madness, in the face, in the mouth of madness.
Mouth of Madness.
Watched it recently for the first time because me and Critical Drinker were talking, And he told me to watch it, and I was like, shit. He's like, you've never seen that? And I'm like, no. And he's like, dude, watch it. And I loved it. There's just so
and
much.
That's like a Cthulhu kind of film a little bit. And so is Event Horizon, or it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Event
great
Horizon, which is very underrated.
Love it. Gotta love that movie.
Love that movie.
Thank God for Drinker, and he recommends everything to me, and I just watch it. Every time I talk to him, he's like, oh, watch this, this, and this. And I'm like, all right. And I love all of it.
Yeah, it was wild. I watched that when it came out originally, and it was one of those movies nobody talked about. It was like and in I would say most people you talked to about it thought it was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was the same way, like now everybody loves Blade Runner. Dude, when I first watched Blade Runner, it was like I tried to tell people about it. This is amazing. And they were like, what, that piece of shit Harrison Ford movie from fucking 83? What the fuck are you talking about? I remember one time they had the Blockbuster. I had a friend who rented a lot of movies. He had the Blockbuster fucking you could rent however many movies you want card. It was right towards the end, right before Blockbuster died, right?
Yeah.
And so we could rent anything. He's like, what do you want to rent? And I'm like, Blade Runner. And he's like, you would bring this into my home? Like, this is how it was perceived. And then I feel like when the final cut came out in 2007, and maybe a little bit before that, it suddenly was reevaluated, and now it's considered this sci-fi classic, maybe the best sci-fi movie ever, right? To some people.
Yeah. There was a movie, and I can't remember the name of it. And I was trying because I wanted to mention it, and now I can't remember the name of it. But it was a movie, it's a horror movie, and it takes you think it's like they're on a spaceship or something, but it's actually they're underwater the entire movie. There's like these mole people, like bat things. Fuck, what was that movie called? Somebody in the chat, tell me, please.
I don't know.
We have 1,000 people watching. Somebody's gonna know. Okay, what is the goofy bat movie where they're underwater actually, and it's like a big twist at the end? Because I love that shit too.
A twist.
Yeah, it was like The Descent. Great movie. Love that movie. Even though it was kind of Pandorum. Thank you. See, look, they always just ask the chat and they tell you immediately. Pandorum. The Cube. The Cube was a great movie. It is very similar to that one for me.
Yeah,
love that goofy ass movie. There's just so many great old movies.
The Cell. I thought The Cell was pretty good actually when I watched it originally. The fucking Jennifer Lopez movie. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of reminded me of like Silent Hill 4 or something.
I've never watched that. That would be
where she goes into the brain of a serial killer, and it's all fucking freaky and everything's symbolism. And
wait a second, that sounds like the plot for Evil Within, the video game.
Well, yeah, that came later. Yeah.
Oh, this whole time I thought it was original. Damn. Shinji Mikami, how could you do this to me?
Yeah. I think he probably was ripping off Silent Hill 4, and then
What a guy. Yeah, I definitely need to watch that. Mario Trujillo, it's in the chat. He says, as a Mexican, I can tell you, some of these people who come over here don't even move here. They just rent a cheap apartment and jump back to Mexico every couple of months. They are shameless, and I hate them.
Yeah. Usually they're just dotting. Seriously, the Mexican flag is like a delinquent child support check, basically.
Thank you, Mario. You Mexican bastard. Appreciate you. I just remember all those. I'd be at work. I worked at GameStop for 11 years. I don't know.
Man, I did too.
How long did you work there?
Dude, I could only tolerate it for like less than a year. I've never walked off a job before. I walked off of that one.
Yeah, I did too, but I was gonna get fired that day anyway. It's
funny too because they wanted to promote me to store manager and all kinds of shit, and I could not. Every day I walked in, I was like, I noticed my just level of rage was rising every day, and I was like, what's causing this? What is it? And one day I just look up and look around at this sea of aberrant humanity, and I'm just like, it's this place. I walked right the fuck off shift. I left the fucking supervisor holding the bag, and I don't feel guilty about it at all. It's fucking terrible.
Man, I think what really ruined it for me is I think because at first I enjoyed it, like 2009, 2007, 8, 9, 11, 13 is when it started going downhill, and I kind of enjoyed it, and it was the only thing I ever did. I mean, I quit school in 10th grade, never went to college, and I started working at GameStop when I was like 16. So worked there, and I enjoyed it, roughly. It was kind of like just a spicy drama cake the whole time. I became a store manager immediately, of course. And the thing that kept me going was every August, we went to Las Vegas for a week and we just partied. It was like lawless, and I loved it. And that's kind of what I hung on to. But I got to the point where there was 1 or 2 years in a row where my store ranked so well. I mean, I think I ended up being 97th in 2014, I think. 97th out of like 6,000 stores back then. Yeah. So it's a big deal. And my pay structure for like 3 years in a row increased like maximum. So at the end of it, I was making over 40 grand a year as a store manager in like 2015, which is a lot for that place doesn't even want to pay you over $8 here. And they had this program called Legacy Delete, and they would try to terminate employees that had tenure that were making more, so they could bring people in making half.
Yep.
I remember our entire district of, I think it was 12 stores, might have been 16. I think it was 16. Every store manager had been there for like 10 years. And then 6 months after I was gone, I talked to somebody that still worked as a part-timer in one of the stores. Every store manager, with the exception of one, had been fired within 6 months.
This is the secret of retail, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Never accept the promotion.
No,
because then you are what is called middle management. And middle management always gets its head on the chopping block first. Always.
Yep. They laying off somebody, it's going to be that guy. Like Best Buy, they laid off 70% of their full-time employees. Just cut their heads off like a freaking snake. I'm gone overnight. And
I know someone who was there for almost 20 years.
Yep. They were
started in 2005 and just got let go. Like fucking this is, and of course the way the GameStop works, they kind of give you a little raise every year, just a little bit, just a little bit, dude. That stacks up over 20 fucking years. Let me tell you. So eventually they caught on. They decided to carry the one, and they were like, "We're paying this motherfucker what?"
Yep. And I'll never forget it, man. I've told this story 1,000 times, of course, but I every day when I got to the store, like every store manager ever, I would check the store. I'd open the computers, clock in, because we were hourly now, because there was that federal law it got passed, but then it didn't pass. I don't remember. And it never went into effect. And you made 42 grand a year. You were eligible for overtime no matter what, unless you made that much or more. So GameStop in 2016 went all hourly. All the salary managers were gone. It was all hourly. So I went from making, it was like 38 flat to making like 16.70 an hour. And you had to work mandatory overtime to get your actual pay, which was awful. Because if you took a sick day, you lost all your overtime in the pay period, and you would like take $180 pay cut every freaking time you did that.
Yeah.
Which of course they didn't give a fuck. But I would get to the store, clock in, make sure all the walls were good, everything's in alphabetical order. I always kept my stores really, tight. And I would go to the back, work on schedules, and sit in my desk in my manager's office with the door wide open until the store opened. It was 8:30. Store opened at 10. So that's what everyone did. We all did. What else am I going to do? And the HR guy came in, who was fired like 6 months after me, came in and claimed that I had invited like one of my male employees to like a threesome or something. The most crazy.
Which of course I had.
Of course. No, like it was like a big old, that was the craziest shit I ever heard. And I like laughed in his face. I was like, that's obviously bullshit. You definitely don't have any proof, right? And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, yeah, of course you don't. And I was like, can I go back to work now? Cause like it was like in the middle of some busy shit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, well, there's one more thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Lay it on me. And he's like, we noticed you sit in your desk before the store closed. And I'm like, yeah, every store manager on earth does that. When we work on the schedules or do anything, we sit at our desk. Of course we do. And he's like, yeah, well, that's actually against policy and you're stealing time. And I'm like, no, that's not true. I looked at my district manager was sitting beside me. I'm like, he's told me to do that. Everybody does that. He does that. We all do that. And he was like, yeah, well, you're not supposed to. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lie. And then he was like, all right, well, let me go talk to my boss. And I just walked out. I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'm going home. That was it. Okay, they were going to fire me anyways.
What was the skeegiest business practice you witnessed in your time? Because I only worked there for a few months, and bro, I literally did a whole video, the GameStop rant. It was one of the first big videos that I did that took off. And I laid it all out. There was all kinds of sketchy shit. So I worked when the Wii came out and the 360 and PS3s. It was right in that 2007 kind of holiday season. Yeah. And I remember the game Lair was going to come out. Remember that? It was like this dragon flying kind of, and it was a piece of shit. Nope. It used the PS3 6-axis controls and it did not fucking work. It was a turd.
I remember,
So GameStop catches wind of the fact that the early reviews for Lair call it out for being a festering shit pile.
Yeah.
So they send out a company-wide or a district-wide memo, I assume. Maybe company-wide. But they send out a memo regardless saying, okay, so street date is on Sunday of next week or whatever. We're going to go ahead and break street date because we know the early reviews are going to be bad. And we want to sell as many copies of this gigantic turd before people catch on to the fact that it's fucking terrible. And so we broke street date on Lair, and they told us to hard sell it to people. Like, literally, oh, yeah, fucking Lair. It's the greatest goddamn dragon flying game you'll ever fucking play. Yeah. Just to move as many copies before people caught on to how bad it is.
Yeah.
Fucking, that was.
Oh, my God. Dude, I could go for like 10 hours.
Right?
There was so many. I mean, my examples are a little extreme. They weren't really business practice. My old store manager used to leave for 4 hours and go like hang out with hookers. And eventually he got in trouble after like 6 months. And my district manager, who would never hit that guy because he ranked so well. To give you an idea, he was like a 500-pound man, my store manager. Just terrible human being. And he got in trouble and he had to stay at this store. So what he did was he just brought hookers to the store. And they would go into the back with him, and they would go into the stock room where we kept the Xboxes and the new consoles, and he would just go back there and lock the door for like an hour with hookers in the store. And I and like 3 other employees told our regional director about it and said it's on video. We have all the videotapes, and they did nothing. He worked there for another like 8 or 9 years after that.
These are like the Epstein tapes. What the fuck?
It was crazy. It was crazy. I could not believe it. And stuff like that happened all the time with him. But as far as like actual business practice, one of the craziest ones I remember was Activision paid GameStop to give more payroll to their employees as long as they hit a certain allocation for pre-orders. So of course we knocked it out of the park. It was Black Ops 2, maybe. I don't remember. And we hit it out of the park. Every store got 30 hours. You know, that's a big freaking deal back then. Right. We were all excited. And then Thursday or Friday comes. We get an email. And GameStop's like, here's the list of stores in your district. Here's how many hours we want you to cut. And it was exactly what Activision they gave us for money. And we had to cut all those hours. So GameStop just pocketed the fucking money. It was hilarious. That was something GameStop did all the time. But dude, my regional director told us to assume people wanted all the add-ons and just add it onto the transaction and don't tell them and only take it off. That was like a company-wide thing at that point. I mean, the CEO of GameStop just sent out Ryan Cohen just sent out an email implying that he wants people to steal. He's like, I want you to roll your sleeves up and do whatever it takes to make GameStop profitable. And he's talking to middle management, of course. Yeah. And he claims that he's not getting paid. I'm like, dude, he owns like $500 million worth of the stock. If it increases, he gets paid, you goofy bastards.
Like me and the person who just got let go talk about it all the time. How long do you give GameStop as a company? I don't think they see 5 years from now.
Yeah, when in 2019, I gave them less than a year, and I think they were like $600 million or $1 billion in debt. It was like over. It was fucking over. And then the GameStop activist investment thing happened, and they came out of it. And 5 years is probably a good accurate estimate now, since they have $1 billion in free flow cash, but they're losing they're losing 100 million to 200 million per quarter. So within 2 years, they're going to be looking for financing. Like, please God. And it's crazy because they got like over $1 billion in cash recently, and they've already blown through it because they were, you know what their idea was? I don't know if you like followed it at the time, but when the new executive team came in, because Ryan Cohen basically took over by buying
the fucking 50th new executive team.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I started working there, they had just gotten a new CEO, and that was because the previous guy was like, this fucking ship is going down. That was fucking 07.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah. Their new thing, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago now, I don't remember now. It's been so long. Right. Was they were going to launch a NFT blockchain thing. And of course, in GameStop fashion, it took them 9 months to develop it. Right. So by the time it came out, NFTs were dead. They were done. So of course, they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they closed it within 3 months. They closed it down in October of last year.
Everyone who runs that company is like, they're like, they would have been a competent CEO if they had gotten on their ideas 5 years earlier. Like every single time they do this, they did it with the online sales. How late were they to get on a competent website that could sell video games from the internet? It took them fucking forever. And now no one gets games from the fucking GameStop.com or what. Nobody, absolutely nobody shops there. They're late on fucking everything.
Yep. And the new executive team will come in and make decisions and be like, man, why don't we sell phones and iPods? And I'm like, oh my God, we did that 5
Dude,
times
you remember Zune?
Yeah.
They were pushing they were Zune exclusive for a fucking Zune exclusive. That's just, if you want to comprehend the sheer planet pulverizing incompetence of GameStop Incorporated, the word Zune spells it all.
Yeah, I remember doing a video on how I would save GameStop. This was years ago, and it was a real large video at the time. And I actually emailed the CEO and everything. Of course, he probably never even opened it. But I was like, man, like, you got to do something wild. For one, you got to close 90% of the stores. And for the last 10% of stores need to be in really nice areas in downtown, and you need to get a liquor license. Like, do something, and then start serving alcohol and like have fucking parties and just go ham. Like, just do everything you can to completely change, and also change the name of the company. Like, because it's nothing but negative.
Damaged goods. And it's hilarious because they bought all those other companies.
Yeah.
So it's like they could use any of those names, right? They bought fucking Babbage's and EB Games.
Rhino. They could change
Funco Land and all those. They bought all that shit, so they could use any name they fucking want. They could go back to look, because game thrift stores and whatnot collecting on the aftermarket is still huge. It's still huge. That used to be GameStop's model in the beginning. You used to be able to walk into a GameStop and walk out with fucking 5 Nintendo 64 games that were already old by that point for, fucking $15 or something. Like, they totally dropped the ball on the only business model that was actually future proofed.
Yep. And they made it. I remember I was working there when this happened. I remember used games were like $49.99 for the longest time. The new one was $59. Yep. And then they increased the price of the used one to $54 and then $56.99. And I'm like, that's $3 cheaper. What are you doing? And then they took the 10% discount card away. So it's like, why would I? It's cheaper new at Walmart, let alone used. They fumbled all of that. Thank you, Matthew Fortune, for 10 gifted memberships. Love you, dude. They fumbled it all. And I feel like if anybody competent was in power, but I met probably 5 CEOs while I was there. Yeah. And the only one that was competent, that was like a normal ass dude, his name was Paul Raines, and he died of cancer a few, like 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I met him, and I was managing a store in Fort Payne, Alabama. And he was like, hey, I started my first business in Fort Payne, Alabama. And we talked for like an hour, like at a bar, me and the CEO of GameStop. And everything was still kind of employee centric. As soon as he left, because he was getting real sick, guy right behind him took over, and that shit went overnight. We had this thing called the Circle of Life get implemented overnight.
I remember it, dude. I actually have a copy of the Circle of Life packet thing.
Yeah,
the little briefing thing that actually, I think we shit on it in a video one time. Once we got this thing, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? What even is this? Some of the Looney Tunes fucking corpo speak in this document. Do you remember some of this shit?
Yeah, dude. I remember. And that's when it all went downhill. And I remember there was a packet. It might have been the Circle of Life packet. And it was like, you can't you can't return a thing with all these stipulations. And the last one said, even an act of God or something. It was like the craziest like lawyer speak just to prevent like a return. It was the weirdest shit in the world, man. It was a wild time. But I'm glad
I gotta bust that thing out sometime, because I've still got it somewhere in my fucking mounds of papers somewhere in the garage. But that thing blew my mind. I do think we used it in a video one time. It was fucking incredible.
I still have we had this little goofy like folder thing that you had to like fill out every day, like who was working and whatnot. I still have like 45 of those, and they like date back all the way to like 2007. And it has like me and like managers and all this like writing in it, and it's the numbers and shit. It was crazy. We did everything in writing back then, and now it's just it's crazy. And if you go to the GameStop Reddit, it's like the worst place to work at now. People are freaking the fuck out like every day, and it's even worse. Even we can imagine, but I can't even imagine. It's like hard because it was bad when I was there, and that's been 5 years now.
Yeah, the store I worked at, one of the reasons it was intolerable was it was one of the top 5 in the country because it was this big mall and it was constant foot traffic. It was a crush of humanity at all times. And then you get to the holiday season and times 20, right? I just about jumped the counter to get the fuck out of that place when I walked off shift. It was fucking torture.
Yeah, they let me do the holiday season until before they came in to try to get rid of me. Now I'll never forget. It was awful, man. It was the worst because my ex-wife had left like the last week of December, and I was working at GameStop, and it was like the most just completely random shit. I was like, I came home one day, she was quiet, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Because we were like best friends for like 10 years. And she's like, yeah, I don't love you, I'm leaving you. And I'm like, what? And then she was gone 2 days later. And then I was going to GameStop during the last week of December, people screaming in our face, shoulder to shoulder, can't walk. Dude, that was the closest I ever came to freaking eating a damn bowl of 9mm. It was roll with no milk either. It just fucking God, it was rough. Yeah, but I'll never forget driving home that last time and like almost tears because I was so happy. You would think in that situation after all that time, like there would be some thought of like, damn, it's over. This
not GameStop, bro. It's like leaving like a POW camp, bro.
I was like laughing with like tears in my eyes and calling all my friends, bro, guess what? It's fucking over. Woo! And I've never thought about it. Like ever since then, I was like, man, I'm so glad that's over. Yeah, I'm so glad it's over. Like, and then one day I decided to make a video about GameStop, and that I became a full-time YouTuber like 2 months later because it went to the fucking moon for some reason.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That's actually a question I was meaning to ask you, and I just totally forgot because we've been talking about so much shit. Let me read this. Squid says, that reminds me, V-Stock seems like a better store than GameStop. What the hell's V-Stock?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
What the hell's V-Stock, Squid? You can't just say things with no context. I feel like
physical big box like video game retail has migrated either to the big department stores, the Targets, the whatever, the Walmarts, or it's migrated to these like thrift stores that like sell books and CDs and used everything. That's like kind of where GameStop's entire market like vanished as a result of that combination of factors.
Yeah, it's basically just it's gonna be like an old record store eventually. That's just gonna be the video game store will be the store, which is what I prefer, to be fair.
Honestly, yeah, it's a better vibe.
Yeah, dude. But I've been meaning to ask you because I ask every time I have somebody on for the first time because I'm so fascinated with numbers, analytics, and because fucking GameStop made me that way. I went to work as a district manager at Walmart right after, by the way. Which was really bad. It was so
damn the level of self-hatred you must bear with you. Fucking
it was bad. But anyways, so I've told my story about how YouTube came to be in content creation. What is yours exactly? So like, was there a catalyst? Did you start doing it for a long time and there was no response? Like how did it happen?
Yeah, it was weird. It was I only had a YouTube channel because I was doing like kind of fighting game tournaments and stuff. And so I'd post, footage of, fighting game tournament, whatever, me in matches. And that's where RazörFist comes from, by the way. It was just the name I used at tournaments because everyone has a handle at tournaments. They don't use their actual name. So, or a lot of people don't. So I had a channel, and then at some point I was writing a review of the movie Cobra, the 80s action movie, and it was just kind of a comedic movie review. And I realized at a certain point it would be better as a video. And so I reached out to a friend who knew video editing. That turned out to be Taryn Gell. And basically I wound up recording it as an audio file. He basically put it to a bunch of video, And we released that as the very first Rageaholic Cinema, essentially a review of the movie Cobra. That's why I have the aviators on. It's been that way ever since, right? The first episode was reviewing Cobra, and in that movie, he's got fucking aviators surgically grafted to his T-zone. So I was like, fuck yeah. And so from there, we like reviewed video games, did little things. I wouldn't say it became like an actual thing where I was routinely releasing videos until several years later, like maybe 2011, maybe 2012, 13, like around there, it kind of became more of a, okay, now we're releasing regular videos. So it was sort of incremental that way. We didn't have any massive, explosively popular videos right off the bat, although we didn't start out as YouTubers. We were primarily featured on Screw Attack, which I do side scrollers now with Stuttering Craig, which is kind of cool because he ran that website. And game trailers. Those were the big places where when I would post a video, I'd get thousands and thousands of views, which was really good in 2010 or whenever the fuck that was. And then gradually it seemed like all video creation migrated over to YouTube at a certain point, whether it's because Blip went away or dedicated websites went away. Let's be real. Exactly. Nobody goes to dedicated websites anymore. So gradually I sort of found myself being a YouTuber without intending to be one. I did have a few videos that were big-ish. I shit all over Final Fantasy VII in my second video, and that pissed off the entire internet. Released a video here and there that would blow up. But never really had a huge, we never had a video that popped up that just was a 1 million view video at any point. It's just kind of been a steady build over a period of years, just getting better at what we do, hopefully, and building an organic pace. I always use the analogy of I didn't want to be the Metallica of YouTube with some big breakout hit and then you suck thereafter. I would rather be like the Motorhead of YouTube, where it's like steadily sort of building an audience, just not sucking, getting better, hopefully, with each one that you release, and then building up kind of a dedicated retinue of fans rather than some massive crossover fucking Eagles appeal. I didn't want that. I wasn't interested in that. So it's cool. And it wound up being fucking over 250,000 subscribers without ever doing the clickbait. I mean, there would have been so many opportunities. You remember for a number of years there, you could basically just, hey guys, fucking news story. Hey, here's my really acceptable opinion about this video game news story. All right, remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. There were fucking legions of these fucking channels. The only ones left now are fucking Review Tech and Yongya and whoever the fuck. But for a while there, you could just print money doing that. We consciously avoided that because it was like, there's no point in doing that. You're better off kind of focusing on your style and your delivery, and hopefully people will be along for the ride regardless of what the subject matter is, right? I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, dude, there was always this pull in my mind where I'm like, man, I could literally just like open a new tab and pull up a fucking article and make like 25 videos in like 4 hours and then just release one that's my whole month done. And I for years have I just can't bring myself to do it. I have to create something that I
future-proofed is the way I describe it. Like, you can go back, even when I talk about a news story or something, which is pretty rarely actually in terms of gaming, I wanted to make videos in such a way that you could go back and refer to them, and because of the jokes or the delivery or the editing or whatever, they would stand up whether you knew about the news story or not. Like, that was kind of the way that I wanted to approach it. And I still get, probably more than a lot of channels on YouTube that cover the kind of material that I do, I still get comments on fucking videos from 8-9 years ago that are about some, drama in the console war or something, because it doesn't matter, because it's more about the delivery than it is about
exactly. That was always my philosophy. And I get comments on, oh my God, it'll be a random GameStop video from 5 years ago about me talking about some random policy, and somebody will just comment on it. I'm like, well, I can't believe people are watching it like from 5 years ago. And
that's a good sign. That's a really good sign, because you get a lot of channels. God damn. Look at fucking Sam Cedar, like over 1 million subscribers, and fucking nobody watches his shit. It's like he's lucky to pull 1,000 views on a video, but he just releases a shitload of them. So 1,000 kind of stacks up, and that you know that's the big scam. You see so many channels like that, and what that really indicates is people are not interested in what you have to say. They're interested in if you're saying what they're saying.
Yep.
In some cases, I that never was gonna work for me, and I don't think it works in the long run anyway, regardless of
dude, I've seen people go to the moon. Okay, so I've seen, I grew really fast. It was like six months, I think, before I hit 100K, and I was just making whatever videos I wanted to make. And
dude, it took me years to get to 100K. It took me years because you're building up slowly, and then I think we would also get hit with these like big developments that would just happen to cross over with what we were already covering, right? Like, Gamergate happened after we had already been talking about corruption in gaming journalism for years. So people went and found my videos after the fact, and I think that's how I got to 100K, is after that. Then I predicted the outcome of the 2016 election. It was like people went back and watched those videos, and then I think that was where I hit probably 200 or 300, something like that. So it was like we'd get kind of little bursts, but they were pretty healthy. They weren't like you shot to the moon and got a 15 million view video and then tried to change your channel forever after that to sort of kowtow out of that audience.
Yeah, it was there. Like I would just because mine was weird. I made that one GameStop video, and it took off pretty quick. It was a couple months of there was nothing really going on, and then overnight it just went to like 1 million views. And so I released like 30 GameStop videos in a row because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm gonna talk about everything that I experienced, all the shady shit in detail. And every video, it was just I hit 100K so fast, and then I just started talking about everything. Like I talk
exactly. Don't I honestly, if I have advice for anyone who wants to do this, don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Make your delivery and your voice the centerpiece, and you will not be slave to whatever trend comes along or
and
subject to the video
and I'm the worst when it comes to analytics because that's all I did when I was, in middle management is looking at P&Ls all day, every day. So I have to actively avoid my analytics because I put out a video yesterday, I think. And this video was actually almost like a documentary style video about like fraud happening, like money laundering on YouTube, like right now that no one's talking about. Right. And Craig mentioned it on his show yesterday. He talked about it for like 20 minutes and went through the video and showed it on the show. And it's like my most underperforming video of like my last 10. And it's just talking about something I've never talked about just because I wanted to. And, it's something I'm passionate about. And I have to like not look at analytics because in a year it might do better. It might blow up in a year or 6 months from now. It doesn't matter.
It's important to have stuff that is of a high enough quality that think of it this way. What happens when you subscribe to a new channel? You tend to go back through the channel and watch a lot of videos. That's the kind of stuff that people are going to be like, whoa, I had no idea you covered this kind of stuff. And for new subscribers, it's that kind of stuff that actually is really important to have. So it's funny. That's kind of how Metal Mythos blew up. Metal Mythos, I'm probably my closest videos to 1 million views are Metal Mythos videos. And those didn't do shit when they came out. Didn't do anything. Few thousand. He's covering old metal bands. But anybody searching Judas Priest discography, anybody searching Iron Maiden discography, Iron Maiden review, anybody searching that subject on YouTube gradually finds those things. Yeah. And when people subscribe to you, dude, they find that stuff. And it's like, seriously, it's a treasure trove for them. They can then binge those for days. Dude, seriously. When you get inspired to make something, that's the only justification you need for making it, as far as I'm concerned.
100%. That's kind of where I'm at. Because probably the last year has been my most random year where I talked about the most different things. And just because I'm just, I've kind of dived more into streaming than anything. I put out like one video a week now, and I just stream. Whereas I used to put out like 4 videos a week. And I'm just like, I just prefer this. I prefer the show, and I prefer really putting my mind towards one thing a week and like
I
really
didn't
shelling it out.
I didn't stream in the beginning. I started streaming in like 2015. Didn't do it regularly. And then a few years ago started doing it more regularly. I like streaming regularly because I don't know if you feel this way. It keeps me on a schedule in a weird way. Like it keeps me regimented. And of course you get to check in with your audience, see how they're responding to your latest videos, see what they dig, what they don't like. And of course you just get to shoot the shit and tell dick jokes.
Yeah.
And that's never bad. So I dig it. It was when I first started streaming, I wasn't so sure about it. And as I kept doing it, I realized, no, this is actually a really, really good way to keep yourself kind of moving forward, to keep yourself thinking about the next thing that you're going to make.
That's probably a really good point because I've been streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday since 2019. And it's kept me, I think that's what keeps me just going. And like you said, dude, I've seen so many channels. I was talking about this earlier and completely got off a point, but I've seen so many channels a year.
I wouldn't know what that's like, by the way.
Yeah. It was like I've seen channels, like multiple channels, come a year after me, blow up over something, just go nuclear, and then their views within a year, their views trailed off to nothing, and then they just stopped posting. They're gone now, and I'm like, and I'm still. It's been 5 years. I'm still going, like every day. It's just still streaming. And
do you watch pro wrestling at all?
I used to. Haven't in a while.
Okay, you've surely noticed the phenomenon of pro wrestling shoot podcasts and shit.
Maybe
like Ric Flair will have a podcast, and whoever fucking Goldust will have a podcast, and JR will have a podcast.
Okay,
right? They've all got their podcast.
Yeah,
and if you are big, and they're going to be big forever. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast is going to be big as long as he does it because he's Stone Cold Steve fucking Austin. Right?
Yep.
But then you see all these other people where it's like, oh, Marty Jannetty has a fucking podcast. Great. Fucking. And once Marty Jannetty works through all of his fucking ring stories, all 12 of them, it's like it'll explode for a minute and then it's gone. And you see this again and again. And it's like this hothouse kind of microcosm of the entire YouTube experience. If people aren't actually interested in you and like how you're delivering things and whatever your personality, I guess, you're gonna fucking flame out so fast it's gonna set a land speed record.
Yeah, that was like Brie Larson. Like she came to YouTube, and of course YouTube just
I forgot she even did.
Dude, she apparently called YouTube, or somebody, one of her agents called YouTube, and they just put her on the front page every single day. And she was getting like 16K views at the end of that. And nothing. And she's like Brie Larson. Now, and to put that into perspective, Jack Black came onto YouTube and literally just flopped back in his chair and was like, "We're gonna kill PewDiePie," and then he got 1 million subs. And he actually, I think his son actually edited everything, and his videos were fantastic. He just walks, he just goes out and eats and just acts like Jack Black, and it's amazing.
Exactly. You could watch a Jack Black interview and tell that he's going to be entertaining on a YouTube channel.
Yep.
You can tell instantly. I'm not a big Russell Brand fan, but he could talk about fucking anything, right? And it's going to be entertaining. That's why his podcast works. If you don't have that, you can't manufacture it. It's not possible.
No, and I think what Brie Larson thought, she's like, well, I'm an actress. I can just act like I can just do the thing. And she would act all awkward. She's like, yeah, I don't know how to set my camera up or my audio. I hope it looks good. And of course, it's like studio quality. And she's like faking. It was awful. It was just awful.
Yeah, I only have an entire wall of halcyon lighting and the Sybil Shepherd camera filter. I don't know if I look really good.
Yeah.
Even though we had a 5-hour lighting setup.
God, it was so silly. Squid says V-Stock's basically a thrift and trade-in store for video games, book CDs, and vinyls, and also new stuff. They actually pay you fairly for your games, unlike games. Oh, son of a bitch! That must be a local thing, Squid. I've never even heard of that.
It kind of sounds local. I don't know.
That sounds pretty cool. My boy Phil says, "Yo, Cody and Family, huge admirer of Razor, no homo, full homo. Keep pulp and Western alive, brother." I'm trying to do my part with comics. Great comic artist, Zaid, Mr. Phil. Nice. I see him every time I go to cons, and he's tall as fuck. He looks like Hugh Jackman, kind of. Well, it's probably because he has mutton chops, but still.
Nice.
He's a great man. Gabriel, Razor, based on your political science and history background, where do you see the USA in 5 to 10 years?
I don't. I mean, what? No. I thought we weren't going to bring up the Roman Empire. Shit.
Oh, no. Jesus.
No, I mean, look, if we don't get the China and Taiwan situation sorted, China's working on surpassing our aircraft carrier capacity through that construction of the factory that's supposed to be open in the next 7 to 8 years. They're probably off schedule on that now that they fucking murdered their economy and production capacity with the COOF, but it'll still be coming in the next 7 to 10 years. So yeah, if that isn't dealt with, we'll have much larger problems than whatever the fuck is going on here.
Oh, that's for damn sure. Samantha says, I'm rushing to New Orleans. My sister is in heart failure. They don't say she'll make it. Oh my God, make sure you send me a text. This is one of my friends in real life. She's a fighter, so prayers and good vibes are needed. Cam and family, love you. Well, make sure you text me. I'm sorry to hear that, and keep me updated on your situation. Thank you, Samantha.
Sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. Patrick says, hey, Razor, Carrie Lake seems to be polling well for Senate. So people in Arizona seem eager to support her, or is it more of a rejection of the status quo?
Yeah, I think Kyrsten Sinema was running against Martha McSally when she ran, and Martha McSally had her own minuses. The main one was nobody knew who the fuck Martha McSally was. She was like a state level rep. It wasn't really king shit, wasn't a big deal. And so people, when Martha McSally tried to hit Kyrsten Sinema with she's this crazy communist radical, which is true, by the way, she was self-described communist, then she became Green Party, and now she's Miss Moderate Democrat. Like, she changes her fucking political stances like she changes outfits. So it didn't really stick because Arizona voters didn't know enough about Sinema, and so they were willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Now they've seen Sinema in action. Like, her first vote in the Senate was upholding, they were trying to pass a law where if an abortionist tries to kill a baby and fails, you have to try to resuscitate the kid. You can't just leave him to die on a fucking counter somewhere. It was, no double kill, basically.
Yeah.
And so Sinema's first vote in the Senate, Little Miss Moderate, was to kill that, basically. It was so fairly radical votes right from the outset, and it's been one after another. She's voted with Joe Biden like 98% of the fucking time. So I think after several years, people have started to see through her. And more importantly, let's be real, Carrie Lake won the gubernatorial election. I mean, let's not fool ourselves here. So you have a three-way race. I don't know if you're aware at all of Arizona politics, but like, it's going to be a three-way race. Ruben Gallego, who represented a district I used to live in. Fucking, if that district's any indication, you do not want to send him to the Senate. And then Kyrsten Sinema is apparently going to run as independent, pretending to be kind of conservative Democrat lady. And then Carrie Lake's going to run as a Republican. In a state like Arizona, yes, we can skew independent sometimes, but I think if you have a three-way race with a Republican, an independent, and a Democrat, especially a Democrat as radical as Ruben Gallego, I think Carrie Lake probably wins that three-way race, but we'll see. We'll see.
Thank you for that one, my friend. Mario Trujillo says, worked at Popeyes for 3 years on, the stories from Black Friday deals to chicken sandwich craze. One had a child with an underage employee. Wow. Once I was told, come armed on a pickup shift. Oh yeah. That sounds like a great place to work, Mario.
Oh, you remember that back body drop fucking WWE tape from a few years ago over the Popeyes chicken sandwiches?
Oh my God. Those freaking sandwiches. They weren't even that great. Shit. I went and got one.
Right?
It's kind of lame.
I would not German suplex someone over a Popeyes chicken sandwich. I got to be honest.
There was apparently people gouging each other's eyes out over the Rick and Morty, like Szechuan sauce or whatever the hell it was called. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Johan says, RazörFist, I just want to say thank you for your support of the LGHDD TV community by coming on this fixed podcast. Thank you. I appreciate that, Johan.
Right on.
Thank you, Johan. I actually want to get your opinion on something real quick. Before we wind down, you said you wear aviators, and because you did it like at the first, I did a thing on I think it was my first or second stream ever. And somebody was like, I was like, hey, they were like, somebody said take your shirt off or something stupid. It was a long time ago, and people were super chatting left and right, and I was like, oh, if we hit this certain goal, I'll take my shirt off. And we hit the goal, of course, and my roommate at the time she was like, put on a bandana or something. I don't even remember how it came to be fair. And I put a bandana on, which is this same bandana. This is the same one from years ago. So basically every time I hit this super chat goal, I put on a bandana and take my shirt off, and I sing Snake Eater, the song Snake Eater from MGS3. And I've done it for 223 streams in a row so far. Like, since I think it's almost 2 years now. We've hit the goal for 2 years, and we are 120 away from it right now, boys. So that's my thing that I've always done. But the thing I want to get your opinion on is, oh, by the way, like the show, you plebes. What the hell? We're almost to 1,000. Get on it, doggone it. I forgot to tell them these freaking. You got to tell them these people in the chat dumb as hell. You got to tell them things.
Plebes, a little Wing Commander reference there, a little bit.
The plebes, man. Anyways, so you mentioned the coof, and this is something I love to talk about with people because I had the opinion. I don't know what the hell it was. My chat was so divided back then, and they were pissed off at me because I live in Alabama, and Alabama is different than a lot of places.
Built different.
Yeah, we're built different. We don't need. I remember nothing closed here. Walmart would make you wear a mask, but I don't go on Walmart. Fuck that place. So I never wore a mask. I went to Vegas once during this whole thing, and I didn't wear a mask in Vegas. No one cared there either. And this was like in the height of the pandemic. And so I never got vaccinated.
It's kind of rough to reconcile legal prostitution and face masks in the same city. You know what I mean?
Weird. Weird. Yeah,
kind of a rough one.
It was always weird how you had to wear your mask into a restaurant and then take it off when you sat down. It was the silliest shit. So I never got vaccinated, and people in my chat were so angry with me. They're like, are you okay with like killing old people? And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even leave I go to the gym and then I come home.
It depends on the old person. Is it Joe Biden? What the fuck?
Yeah. Is it my next door neighbor that calls the damn code people? No. Oh, he needs to die immediately.
Shit, give me a case of whooping cough and aim me at Nancy Pelosi. Fucking shit.
But I kind of really ignored it, and then it went away. And now, of course, now it's like, hey, we need amnesty, and forgive us for being psychos. And people act like there was never any quarantine camps in Australia or being built anywhere else. People act like none of it ever happened. So, what was your whole opinion on all of that? Like when it was coming about?
I mean, if it had been 14 days to slow the spread, I didn't think that was irrational, right? Okay, close down for a couple of weeks, whatever. That's fine. But of course, you give the government an inch. They make you take all 9 inches. That's how it works. And so, but initially I was okay with locking down for a couple of weeks, but of course that was a lie. That turned out to be a fucking lie. I never got vaccinated. I wasn't particularly afraid of the vaccine. My father, who has a lot of health problems, he had to get it. It was like doctor's orders, but he's fine. And if he has a lot of health problems and he's fine, then it appears to work differently in different people.
Yeah.
So, it didn't particularly worry me, but I never got it because I just wasn't in a hurry. And then we started getting the side effects spring. And it was like, I do believe I'll continue to give that a pass. It's funny too, because it was a near miss. I think I had it scheduled to get it at some point, and I just no-showed. I forget why. Yeah. I just no-showed, and never did wind up getting a pure blood, as it were.
Yes. And it was the wildest thing because exactly like you said, I was just in no hurry. I wasn't thinking about it, and then it was over.
I wasn't like an anti-vaxxer. I was more so just indifferent. I was like, whatever. I've had a flu shot before. Whatever the fuck, who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like as you started seeing fucking 15-year-old kids collapse in front of their high school, gymnasium, audience or whatever. That was, that kind of made me reevaluate things.
Yeah. And I remember somebody asked me in chat, it was probably like a few months after the vaccine had came out. And then of course there was all these cases of all these like side effects. And like you said, I wasn't in a hurry. And somebody was like, why are you not vaccinated? I'm like, I just haven't really thought about it, Well,
look, you work from home. I'm sure you go lots of places like I do, but when you work from home, you kind of have a smaller circle.
Yeah.
I did wind up getting the coof incidentally. That was, I should have mentioned this. This was why I didn't get vaccinated. I had been scheduled to. That's why. Fuck, I totally forgot. I had been scheduled to get vaccinated. Terangel, my editor, comes over. We're doing an LA Noire VR stream, and he's hacking up a lung the whole fucking time.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. You have COVID, and you're not. And we were joking about it. You have fucking COVID, don't you? And whatever. He did have COVID. He had fucking Omicron variant, and he gave it to me, this motherfucker. So I wind up getting Omicron, which is the best kind to get, incidentally. It's like the 24-hour flu of COVID. And so I wound up having immunity. So I was like, honestly, it seems that it was better to have immunity than to have been vaccinated. So I wound up being fine and not getting vaccinated after that. I totally forgot about that. I can't believe.
Yeah. Well, with me, I got the Omicron variant, and I was kind of tired, and that was
it was a bitch for like 24 to 48 hours. Like, I had such a fucking headache, I almost vomited. I've never had a headache that intense in my fucking life.
Yeah.
But after that, it all cleared up, and I had like a lingering kind of low fever and was tired as shit. That's pretty much all it was for about a week. Yeah. And then it was over. So if you got to get it, it's not fun. It's certainly not fun for that 48 hours. But if you got to get it, get that one.
Yeah. And I remember, like I said, I just didn't think about it for a while. And then it kind of went away. And people.
How would you describe it? I would describe it as fucking artificial feeling. Yeah. It did not feel like a normal sickness. Like I felt like I had a fever before I had a fever. When the fuck does that happen? Right. And I mean for hours ahead of time, like chills and fucking, I thought I had a fever, took my temperature like 9 times, didn't fucking have one. And then it comes on. What kind of fucking sickness does that?
Yeah, I had I would have like an airy feeling in my head and be lightheaded all the time, no matter what. But it was, it might have been pretty bad for one day, but it just seemed so minor. And then it kind of felt like that for 2 weeks where I was tired. And then I never thought about it again. But yeah, I never got vaccinated, and I was still dealing with the whole, people freaking. I remember back on Twitter in those days, people were swearing off family members and shit. And like,
oh yeah, dude, I had people who followed me on fucking social media like, I can't believe you're a fucking anti-vaxxer, blah blah, which I never was, incidentally. But
yeah,
if you this is the thing about our culture. If you merely do not profess someone's chosen position vociferously enough, they have actual antipathy for you. It's incredible.
Yeah. Basically, if you don't overwhelmingly, man, there's like, I don't really fall into any category. I don't like to put myself in a box because I believe different things based on, like however I was raised, or I guess what my environment. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those things don't really align with like conservative values. And a lot of things I believe don't align with like, liberal values. But I have friends, of course I'm in Alabama, right? So like a lot of people are conservative here, and they could give 2 fucks. Like people are like, oh, how do you feel about this? I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, I don't really think that, but blah, blah, blah. But man, like if like there's liberal people, like I had a friend that we're not friends anymore, and I wouldn't mind. I don't care, but they think I'm like a evil Trump supporter. I'm not even at all. It's weird. But if you don't believe one facet, one ideal, if I tell somebody on Twitter that says they're a liberal, if I say I am not in favor of 9-year-olds taking hormones, they're like, oh, you're an alt-right Trump supporter. And I'm like, I'm not even any. What the fuck? No, I just don't think. I don't want children involved. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I have had people call me alt-right ever since I said that on stream, where I'm like, I don't want children involved, and now I'm just alt fucking right. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? I just don't want to pay taxes. RazörFist. That's all I don't. I just don't want to pay taxes, man. Yeah, that's like my whole viewpoints.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why I think we're gonna look back on this juvenile transitioning shit like people look back on lobotomies and leechings and shit. Like the logic doesn't even track. It's like, I have gender dysphoria, so cut my dick off. It's like, hey, I've got cancer, so turn my entire body into a tumor. Like, fucking what the fuck are you talking about? What kind of logic is that?
I literally said that. That's so weird, man. This is the second time tonight. I said this to somebody like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I think I was driving through like my hometown because I never go down there, and I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was like, we're gonna look back in 20 years on this like something like lobotomies, like literally said lobotomies. I'm like, that's so weird that you said it. It's like we're related. Maybe I didn't know this. I didn't know I had a brother in Alaska. Where are you?
Oh man, Arizona. No, I remember when it was first kind of coming on, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, when it was first starting to become a really big thing.
Yeah.
Talking with people, friends of mine about it and whatnot, and them just being like, oh, I'm just trying to understand and whatever. And I'm like, are you really being understanding though? Like, There's a fucking surgeon somewhere who's putting his kids through fucking college doing transition surgeries on underage kids. Like this is actually a money racket kind of thing. If this were anything else, you'd call it out for what it is. You know, that's what bothers me the most. And what bothers me, I guess, even more than that is we weren't even allowed to talk about it. Right? If you broached the subject, you're a fucking bigot. That right there is where the problem really lies.
Yeah, and I remember it, dude. It's wild as hell because people will always come to you and be like, "That's not happening." I'll be like, "Look, I don't really have any problem if you're an adult. Do whatever the hell you want to do, but I just don't want like a 14-year-old girl getting a double mastectomy. That feels wrong." And they're like, "That's not happening." I'm like, "Well, 797 operations on minors have happened from 2019 to 2021. That doesn't even include 2022 and 2023, which is probably up 1,000%. It's happening. It's actually not illegal. That's why there's protest in some states because they're trying to make it illegal, which it is illegal in almost every part of the world now. We had, us being Americans, not specifically us, but the normal person in America, which only consumes media that's fed to them, don't even realize that it's been made illegal in like so many countries because, and just recently, like that's not going to be a thing in Russia, China. I think the UK is in talks with like outlawing it now if they haven't already. Like there's so many, and then they're looked at as an ultra liberal society.
Yeah, so, man. Somebody in the chat just said, "What happened to therapy?" There's the rub. Therapy are enablers of it, unfortunately, in many instances. I know someone whose sister had gender dysphoria, and it was the therapist who pushed her to transition.
Yes,
she regretted it years later. Yes, she regretted it. It's like, you can't, for fuck's sake, you're not even allowed to buy a firearm or drink, but we believe you've got a stranglehold on your personal identity at age fucking 14 or 13 or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah. What? Yeah, and people don't realize it's the same thing we used to say when I worked at GameStop. You make an impression, you garner a customer for life, and that's what these psychiatrists, that's what these doctors are doing, is they're just gaining a customer for life. Why would I fix you when I can make $500,000 off you in the next 20 years?
There's the problem, not dealing with the source of the issue. I mean, when are we going to have the conversation about the high instance of childhood molestation and people who later identify as homosexual and transsexual?
Yeah.
When is that? Because I guarantee you, if you did a study, it would be in the 70 to 80th percentile.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If 70 to 80% of kids who were fucked as kids had butthole cancer when they got older, I guarantee you there would be a medical study about that, and we would be having a discussion about fucking avoiding that. I guarantee you. That's the fucking problem, ultimately. You're not allowed to discuss it, so because of that, we can't have the debate. So because of that, we don't deal with the root issue.
Yep. That's exactly. I had this conversation with somebody, and I know I say that a lot, but it's because we're talking about the same shit I always talk about in real life. And I brought up the statistics, like based on if a couple foster a kid. There was actually a big news story. The most publicized one was this gay couple fostered a kid, and it was like all over the news. It was like a big deal. Yay, they're fostering this kid. And then like 3 years later, they got arrested by the FBI for prostituting their like 9-year-old out to like
I did see that.
Guys
what the fuck was that?
And I'm like, holy shit. And I had this conversation. And I'm like, it's obviously going to be a higher percentage with this group of people. And they got so furious. Like, how dare you even fucking, there's no data that would suggest anything. And I'm like, and this is a level-headed person I was talking to. And I'm like, and they don't even want to talk about that shit. So
yeah,
it's terrifying.
Exactly.
It's so terrifying that Cheeseatarian dropped $100 super chat with his beautiful dog. Look at that sumbitch. Holy shit. That's an old looking sumbitch. Get some. Cheeseatarian, I love you, my friend. It's a rainbow night. Cheeseatarian jumping in. We're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes. I appreciate you, Cheese. We did save the Naked Snake goal. We are 200 likes away from hitting that big fat 1K. I appreciate you guys. We've had 1,000 people in here all night. So give RazörFist some love in the chat. Make sure you go follow his channel if you're not doing that already. And thank you, Cheeseatarian, again. Lance Corporal Hawk. Heard of a new Western coming up set in Last Chance Arizona, Razor. Lucas Black is the lead and plays a father who's set to be reverend of the new church. And after his daughter is kidnapped, he and his wife strap up and head out.
Sounds good.
Dude,
you're seeing a lot more Westerns. I feel like 2024 is going to be kind of the year of the Western.
Yeah, dude.
A little bit.
I mean, there needs to be a giant comeback.
I think so. And that's around the time my Western comic's going to come out, late this year or early next year.
Would that be great if there was just a huge resurgence of Westerns and then your comic comes out? I mean, it'd be perfect.
It's looking like it's going to shape up that way. Yeah, we didn't intend it. It was just kind of how it worked out. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of I got a Western vibe from, which it's not really Western, but I read through Preacher years ago, and I loved it. And I got a kind of a Western vibe from that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of got a little bit of a neo-Western sort of thing going on.
Yeah, I love that. That was like my favorite like graphic novel series was Old Preacher. Johan, Cody doesn't like to put himself in a box. He's more of a poop shoot guy. Razor. Cody, you're making this too easy. I didn't even do anything. Thank you, Johan. I appreciate you, dude. For the love. Andrew Van Halen says COVID really changed the way I look at people and how quick some of us are to sell each other out. Dude, it's so fast. I saw people that were best friends, people like daughters of families, just overnight tell their parents they hope they died and would like leave and disappear.
Yeah,
it's so tribalistic. It's the craziest shit in the world,
and that's going to happen in the election too, and whatever. I mean, I think it kind of comes down to a society that's sort of replaced whatever unifying maybe religious or social principles they had with political party and dogma. The state essentially becomes the new stand-in for God or whatever organizing principle or symbol.
Yep. It's just religion now. It's the party is religion.
Look at I talk about this all the time. It's confession through projection when you hear them say the cult of Trump. A cult of Trump. It's like Obama was in office. He was their messiah. All those pictures with him with the fucking halo around his head and fucking So Trump has to be the Antichrist, and his supporters can't be supporters. They have to be a cult. It's a confession of religious fervor in politics from the person making the projection.
Yep. So you accurately called the 2016 election. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to be 2024?
Man, good luck. It depends on whether Trump's even on the ballot in some of these states. If he's not on the ballot in even one state, obviously that throws a wrench in the works. Right now, he's polling above Biden by I just saw 53 or 54%. He's above Biden.
Yep.
So not exact, or he's at 53 or 54%. I mean, Trump is. So he's beating Biden right now in national polling, and these are not like Trumpian polls. We're talking like this last poll that I saw was actually more skewed toward independents, black voters, and like urban voters. And probably the most worrying element, though, is if RFK Jr. enters the mix, and it looks like he has, fucking Kennedys are big with the wine moms. Wine moms love their Kennedys.
Yeah.
And wine moms, Biden's already lost a bunch of support with wine moms since fucking 2020. So you give them anyone else to vote for, that starts to look really, really bad for Joe Biden. So right now it's shaping up for a Trump victory, but it looks like the tactic is they want to keep him off the ballot entirely in some of these states.
I was assuming that, I mean, God, dude, Biden's so old and he can't even talk. I was assuming that something would happen and they would just replace him, like somehow, some way. Replace that and you couldn't use Kamala Harris because she's disliked even more than him.
She's hated even more. Yeah.
So like
they put themselves in a really rough position because in the 2020 midterms, Pete Buttigieg was winning, right? Mm-hmm. He was on top. Biden was in single digits. And then all of a sudden everyone decided, hey, you know what? Even though I'm winning right now, I'm going to drop out. I'm going to drop out and I'm going to throw my support behind Joe Biden. Totally wasn't bribery, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So everyone drops out, supports Joe Biden. Joe Biden becomes the de facto nominee. The only guy who doesn't drop out is Bernie Sanders, who they know can't win because he's damaged goods from 2016 when he cucked out to Hillary Clinton. His own supporters don't even like him that much anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
So Bernie was a classic case of controlled opposition. So they set up a situation where Biden had to be the guy. Whereas if they had actually had an honest primary and pushed whoever, maybe they would have lost with Pete Buttigieg. Who fucking knows? Maybe somebody else would have overtaken Buttigieg and whatever. But because you didn't have an organic primary, now you're in a situation where you're stuck with a fucking moldering archlich in the Oval Orifice, and you have no one else to replace him. They're thinking of Gavin Newsom, but this is a guy who got recalled in California. He got recalled. If he's not popular in California, how the fuck is he going to do nationally? So they've really fucked themselves. They have a really, really shallow bench is really what it comes down to.
Oh God. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was talking about this at the gym today, and I was like, there was all these like murmurings of Gavin Newsom over and over and over. And I'm like, dude, even his own state hates him. I don't understand how that's even a possibility. Everybody talks about Californian politics and how like completely different and staggering they are, like versus every other state in the country. And I was like, yeah, no thanks. There, people are leaving that bitch, dude. What? I live in Huntsville, Alabama, and it was a kind of a nice, kind of small city. Every single place on the side of the road, side of a highway, side of the interstate in Huntsville now, which was just trees, is now the same exact set of like 4-story apartments for miles and miles and miles. My house, when I sold it, I bought my house for $100,000 in 2013. I sold it for almost $300,000 in 2022.
You starting to get any of those cookie cutter Californian houses popping up? Any of those? We got a lot of those in Phoenix. A lot of them.
What is it exactly? Cookie cutter?
The cookie cutter houses. They all look the same. They're they all got the same whatever, and they open up at the same time, and they're all gonna house Californians by like the 90th percentile. Seriously.
Yeah, there's actual places that were just trees down my road, and now it's a neighborhood that's still being built, and it is the exact same house like 500 times, and it's they're huge too, but they're the same exact house, and they're all in this little street, and they all have the same garage, all lot, same porch. Some of them are different color schemes, and that's it. And I'm like, oh, gross. That's like,
and it's stupid because this is going to change the political composure of these states. It is going to. And I've said for a long time, as bad as illegal immigration is, it's not illegal immigration from Mexico that's going to change states like Arizona and Utah. It's legal immigration from California that's going to change the political composure of states like this. And the thing is, states have every constitutional right to regulate travel and migration from other states. They're sovereign. They can amend their state constitutions. If they wanted, they could tax anyone who comes over from California. You could erect a fucking wall if you wanted to. It wouldn't matter. The states actually have this power, and this conversation isn't happening at all.
God, yeah, they should tax them at like 100% for the first 5 years, just so they don't come. Please.
What about withholding the franchise for the first 5 years you're living in a state? Not being able to vote for like a cool down period. You can still vote in California or whatever. It's not like you're losing the right to vote. You just can't affect Arizona politics until you're actually an Arizonan or whatever state, insert state. These are things that states actually have the constitutional authority to do because state constitutions can be whatever the fuck.
That's a great idea. Like a floating period where they can't vote for a couple of years. That'd be beautiful because then they could acclimate to their damn area. Like
it would also cut out a lot of the voter fraud because what happens is they register all these phantom voters that don't really exist the same fucking year, and they get to register and vote in that election, right? Yeah. You put a 5-year cool down in there, suddenly they can't do that anymore. So if they're going to have to decide really, really, really fucking early if they want to defraud an election, and they're not going to have the necessary information to do that.
God, dude, it is wild. It's wild. I'm cautiously optimistic about 2024.
Yeah,
I look at it more as an entertainment value kind of thing nowadays.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Shit show.
The day Trump came back to Twitter, the fucking face melting all across social media was absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, that's where he skyrocketed in general polls, is when he posted his own mugshot.
Yep. Which you knew was gonna fucking happen. You absolutely knew was gonna happen.
Yeah. The only thing that should have been different is he should have been like making the most like happy face in the mugshot. Just with
he should have posted the mugshot meme, but it's him with the taco bowl.
Yeah,
him with the fucking taco bowl. Just
yeah. That'd have been it. Yeah, he's so angry looking in the picture, but it still does the exact same thing. X-Wing, my boy, smells like ish in here, but oh my god, is that the guy that had the Ricky Bobby crash? What the hell are you talking about? Much love to the Cam. You've been through it with the asshole MSM treatment. Do what you do, brother. Let's talk about it soon. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I miss Twitter mainly because I miss talking to my friends. I don't really care about Twitter in general. I just miss talking to my friends. And now I have. It's so, dude, you know how hard it is? Just I had to email you. It's like I'm freaking.
We had to communicate, dude. We were using electronic mail to set this up, ladies and gentlemen. We were like a step removed from writing fucking letters.
Yeah, and that's what me and Critical Drinker do now. I just email him now, and he emails me back, so it works. But
actually, a little later, as a thank you, I'm going to send you a postcard, maybe a fruit basket,
maybe some lotions and some scents.
Yeah, a little, some of those candles for one of your me time sessions.
Oh yeah, I need some. Dude, mine are all burnt. McLeod, Diamondbacks 1 inning from sweeping the Dodgers. Nice. I was a Diamondback.
Suck it, Dodgers.
I used to be a Diamondback.
Suck it long and hard and cup the balls.
The Dems, Ruth Bader Ginsburg themselves with Biden. Johan Noxos. Thank you, my friend. Patrick O'Brien says all these Californians moving to Alabama voting Democrat, but still saying the N-word for some reason. I swear, man. God. Huntsville's been blue for a long time, though. Not Alfarius says RazörFist, if states barred Californians from moving in, wouldn't the feds just say, sorry, this counts as interstate trade, so it's our business, not the states? Too bad.
How would that count as interstate trade? I mean, the point is, if you make that argument, you'd have to defend it in court. Then you have an opportunity to actually set a precedent. And if you win that precedent, then every state can do that. Right. And you have established on the record that every state can do that. This is the problem really with the right. You know, a lot of times they'll lose a court case and then they'll back off.
Yeah.
But the left lost on gay marriage how many fucking times? They just kept pushing the boulder up the hill. They just kept going. It's like, why don't the right fucking do this? What is wrong with you fucking people?
Yeah, I've always noticed that. It's the conservative politicians usually will. It's almost like they govern themselves and they're like, well, I can't do that. I can't do this, and we tried this, can't do this. But man, liberals would like cut your head off and laugh. Like they don't give a fuck.
They don't give a shit, bro.
No, they don't care at all, man. It's fucking crazy. Whoop Bear says unauthorized.tv is gas. Get on it. Camelot, glad your bruises healed up. Keep racing, speed dimit. Yes, let me mention that real quick before I let my boy RazörFist go. I'm just trying to read the super chat and they just keep fucking coming. So last 2 weeks ago, we raced in Dominion. I got in a brutal wreck. I had like black eyes and shit and couldn't move. It was freaking crazy. It was my worst NASCAR like oval racing wreck ever. It's brutal. I couldn't breathe. It was crazy. Yeah, dude hit me. There's a picture. I'll pull it up real quick.
So me on any given day on my motorcycle in Phoenix.
Yeah, dude. It was, dude. Oh my god, it was like
I think the last time I dropped my bike, a gang of midgets just came up and started punching me in the dick for no reason. Like, just...
Thank you, Woot Bear. But yeah, I was flying. I'm this guy. This is me. I'm the flying guy. I was flying through the air. It's fun.
Wow.
Yeah, I was flying, dude.
Imagine being the guy on the bottom, though.
Yeah, he was fine.
He was.
He's fine. He just launched my ass. But yeah, it was wild. But we got a new car built for the team. Built me a new car this last week. They've been sending me pictures of like the frame, the roll cage, then the engine, and then the whole car is done. Just needs painting. So we'll be racing in Carteret County, North Carolina, Saturday, 7 p.m. Green Flag. If you live around there, please come see me. It's like $20 to get in. You can meet me, hang out, take pictures, all that good stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. And if I wreck, you get to see it again. It's gonna be great. And we're in a real fast car. So, because it's ready to go. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
You must have Jedi reflexes if you race pods.
Yeah, except for that time I almost died. My
you use the phrase "wizard" as an exclamation of wonder.
Oh my gosh. Lanka says D-back sweep the Dodgers is almost as good as a World Series win in itself.
Dude, that's my championship. I don't even give a shit if the D-backs get fucking stomped next. I don't care. This is the World Series for me. Fuck the Dodgers.
Primarch Vulcan says, since you have a disdain for taxes, recount to Razor your recent experiences with Alabama.
Oh, you already did.
Already did.
Yeah.
Dude, if anybody even like whispers taxes from like another house, I'll hear it. Like, that's what happened to me.
My tax sense is tingling.
I could feel it in my bones.
I have to regale them.
Yeah. Adrian Rabello says, Mr. Fist, if you're interested in some cheap Mexican labor, ask Cam for his Mexican edit. Oh, hey, that's you right there. You're here. You have different names on shit, man. No. Yeah, he's a great editor. Does a lot of shit for me real fast. Very, very responsive. And he's Mexican, which is hilarious. Because when he's done editing, he'll just text me and be like, all right, back to lawn work. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, finding cheap Mexican labor is tough in Phoenix. Okay. All right. Anyway.
Mr. Floppy, why don't the right push? Because it's all performative. They don't want to push back. The Uniparty is not a myth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was driving at earlier.
Yeah. And there was this push for like 1 second, this performative push to abolish the IRS. That was great. Got my hopes up for like 2 seconds. I was like, please, can we just like do this like 3 times? Like just somebody make this happen, please, God.
It was declared unconstitutional once. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was only supposed to be temporary. What the hell happened? God, please.
That's how it always goes. Jesus. I mean, look, income tax was declared unconstitutional twice. They just kept pushing it through.
Yeah, they just want my money. They just want all politicians go into office wanting to be millionaires. It has nothing to do with like doing good anymore. It's just I want to become a millionaire, and that's how they're going to do it. From accepting bribes, insider trading. You go into a position making 180 grand a year, and then 10 years later you're worth $80 million. How does that happen? It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're just better at investing than any other famous investor. Yeah, okay.
Investing, insider trading, potato.
Yeah, same thing. It's all good. Cheesetarian says, come back, Razor Fist. You work great with Cody. P.S. Ask Cody how much a skin cost for his car.
I don't know.
A skin for my car?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Like a skin, like a sponsor thing. Sponsor things like $200 for print off of a vinyl like logo if it's really big, like on the hood. It's like $80 if it's a little bit smaller. An actual wrap, like if I got a wrap on my R8, it'd be like $4,000. And I wouldn't do that because it's beautiful Phantom Black and it's shiny.
See, I still need to get my Firebird repainted. I mean, in the process of dealing with that.
Oh, bro, I just get acrylic enamel. I wrecked one of my cars, and I just built it myself back when I was racing, just myself. I freaking walled the front of my old race car, and I just bondoed that bitch back together, made it look almost right, and just got a spray gun and acrylic enamel blue, and it looked great. I was like, I can't believe it looks this great.
Oh, that's cool.
Can't believe it. Fire says Dodgers didn't get enough divine intervention from Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Oh, God. Did you see that?
No. What was
they led a bunch of like transsexual activist kind of people. They got protested over it. They I forget what the particulars were, but they were like hosting some kind of event with them, and it turned out like one of the leadership was diddling kids. A little bit later, got arrested. No. Fucking dude, Dodgers have it coming this year. Dodgers have it between that and the Trevor Bauer bullshit. They have it coming. They are in karma receivership big time.
Good. It's all performative. When you see celebrities, you see corporations, CEOs, my hairy asses if they give a fuck, like preaching this nonsense. Yeah. Hashtag BLM. When they actively discriminate against and stereotype their own like black workers, like in Amazon. They had a big deal because I covered a video on this where black workers were being stereotyped and fired at a massive rate when there was any shrink on the floor, like from pickers. They just assumed it was black guys and they would fire them. And then they would turn around with the unpaid intern hashtag BLM on Amazon's like Twitter. It's all bullshit. It's all fake. It's all performative.
Oh yeah, like them saying fucking Stonehenge was built by black people. This past week, did you see that?
Oh God, dude, I see that shit every day on Facebook.
Which it could be. I mean, when I was over there, I did hear a fucking alarm chirping. I don't know.
Oh, that's such a classic. I love the alarm. God, dude, I hear it all the time. No, I'll be on Facebook because it's like I used to never scroll Facebook, and then when they killed me on Twitter, I'm like, well, fucking scroll on something, and I gotta feed the addiction, I guess. And I was scrolling Facebook, and there's so many of these things promoted to me. It's like sponsored or recommended to you, and it's like a an old statue of an Egyptian, and it would just be like recreated in CG, and it's just like a 1230 black dude from like Atlanta, and I'm like, what? And the page is like We Was Kings like page, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What do you think the brown people that live there right now are? Where'd they come from?
Right.
What is that? Come on,
now, people were mad. Did you ever play that game Kingdom Come Deliverance?
Oh yeah, dude.
Remember how mad the gaming media was that there were no black people in fucking Bohemia in the Middle Ages?
Wow, it's like, why is there no black people in Lord of the Rings? It's like, because it takes place in like, it's like old European lore. Like, there wasn't. Wait, how they gonna get there?
Because it's not Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great fucking picture. Like it looks like a movie poster. Oh, it's beautiful. I need to get that shit printed off and put in my theater. I have a theater in my house that I built because it's mother-in-law suite. Why the fuck would you have a mother-in-law suite? I got no mother-in-law. And I had all these movie posters like put up, and I have this projector and shit. And I'm like, that'd be perfect. Lord of the Rings. God, it'd be great.
Damn rings.
Let me read these last two and let RazörFist get the hell out of here because we're an hour over what I told him.
I'm sorry.
Squid says, why is it that the state of, is that Missouri? Montana. What is MO?
Missouri.
Yeah, see that it makes no damn sense. It should be Montana.
No, it makes no sense. I agree.
It's leading the charge passing laws making or illegal for state cops to help the feds enforce their laws. That reminds me of that one dude that got arrested. He was working for the ATF, and he was like banging on this dude's door, and he got arrested by the police. They're like, what the fuck you doing? He's like, I work for the ATF. He's like,
my God,
acting like a dumbass, and the police just like tased him or something. I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God. Oh man. The Duluth, Minnesota Council has been trying for years to attract Californians for years now, but they hilariously keep leaving every time winter hits. Shocking, because it's like -16 every day, dude. Asher Genius says, Sup Razor, since this is your first Nightmare Arcade with the Switch, any chance you play Fatal Frame?
Ooh, is it available? I didn't know. I did not know. I would happily play Fatal Frame. Are there any other good horror games on the Switch? Because I don't know. I just got one. So.
Well, you might have played this already. It's a side scroller. I love it. I played all the DLC. It's called Little Nightmares. Fantastic, goofy little game. It's like a side scroller, and you're like this little character, and you're in this basically alternative world, and it's just nightmare fuel the whole time. It's beautiful.
Nice.
It's a really, really good game. Especially the style of the game is really, really nice. Been a lot of fun. Let me find this super chat. This guy said I skipped a super chat. Let's make sure I didn't. Sir, boob. Hashtag the fist is mightier than the flu. Thank you, sir. I got you. Of course, cult of personality as well. Wasp. Fucking Wasp.
Oh
God,
man,
I love Wasp.
That had to suck. I bet you still went though. Fucking Wasp hadn't toured America in fucking 20 years before that. So, dude, I would have gone anyway. Fucking fever be damned.
God. Oh man, I'll never forget the first time I watched. What is it? What's that? I can't remember the song. I remember the video like it was yesterday. They're like in this desert ass area, and there's just a mountain behind them, and they're just jamming.
Wild Child, dude.
Wild Child.
Good fucking.
I want you. My heart's next.
And Blackie's riding around on the motorcycle like a badass. Fucking
God, yeah, dude. Fucking love Wasp. I always thought that it's funny because Wasp was like all the hair bands and like metal bands from back in those days. Like everybody, like every lead singer had like a princely face for some reason, and like the dude from Wasp is just like looks like Shrek.
Ugly as shit. You know, he was originally supposed to play like T-1000 or something in Terminator or something like that. Yeah, he was cat. Like they were ready to go with that, and he had to tour or something like that, and that didn't wind up happening.
He had to tour. That dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah, he was in a few movies in the early 80s actually, because he's so fucking big. People don't realize how big Blackie Lawless is. He's like fucking Blackfoot Indian. They're all tall as shit.
Oh shit, he's 6'4".
He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
God, I always thought Ted Nugent, when I watch Ted Nugent shows from back in the day, he looks like a foot taller than everybody, but he's only 6 foot. It's so weird. I'm like, I thought he was like 6'7".
Right.
Freaking looked huge. I guess everybody's just so tiny.
Yeah.
Tommy Shaw and dude from the Sticks, dude from Night Ranger, from when they were in that one hair band they had for a second in the 90s, Damn Yankees.
Oh yeah.
hilarious. Like he just towers over these dudes. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Cheesetarian, Razor Fist. Have you ever streamed with Nick Recato? I would love to watch you two go to topic. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've streamed twice. Actually, we were talking about Michael Jackson earlier. One of the streams was really big. It was where we were debating the Michael Jackson allegations.
Yeah.
On his stream.
That's probably that might be where I heard it. I remember I was on a stream and I heard fucking the whole. It might have been a Nick show, and he was telling me about it. And I was like, man, I need to talk to this dude about Michael Jackson. Thank you, Cheese. I appreciate you. And with that, I'm going to let Razor Fist get on it, doggone it. Let him get out of here. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I held you for so long.
No, dude, I had a blast. I'm a chatty Cathy, so it was natural. That was always going to happen.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. We need to get together again. I'll just send you a letter.
Right on, bro. We will communicate via carrier pigeon.
Yeah, it'll be great until that one day when I'm back on Twitter and then I get banned immediately because I'm just gonna tweet the F slur just immediately. Just
nice. Yeah, if I ever learned how to telegraph, that would be the first thing. Just boobs or something.
Beep, 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 beep. Oh god, Titanic, rest in peace.
Yes,
that's all I think about is Titanic every time because that dude in that room doing the distress signal stayed in that room until he died.
Right on,
boss. What a boss. All right, dude. Thank you so much. I'll be watching the streams. I'll pop in every once in a while because I've been a fan for a long time.
I love it, man. That's great. It was great to catch up with you, bro.
Oh, yeah, dude. I appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to do Naked Snake after you leave so you ain't got to see me.
So I don't have to see your fucking torso. All right, later, folks. Godspeed.
Right, appreciate you, bud. Oh, yeah. Razor Fist. Awesome show, man. I love this man. What a great dude. That was fantastic show. A lot of fun with that dude. A lot of people hanging out tonight. Make sure you do me a favor. You like the show. We're almost to 1,000. In honor of Razor Fist, I'll have tons of Razor Fist clips coming out on the Alt channel. If you're not following it, that's my backup channel, just in case I die. So, Cody's embarrassed to strip. No, I'm embarrassed because he hates Metal Gear or he doesn't like it. And I was like, oh, fuck, I can't sing Metal Gear in front of this man. And then take my shirt off. Like, what the fuck? We just talked about how dicks in movies is bad, and then I'm about to get naked. That's making no sense. I'm contradicting myself. I'm a hypocrite. Thank you guys so much for such an insane stream. We killed Naked Snake goal for 224th stream in a row. We're gonna do Naked Snake. Thank you. I appreciate you. You built your arcade room, Sir Ubison. This room behind me. Yeah, I built this. I built it in 6 hours when I first, because a lot of people don't realize this. They'll watch my old streams or old videos and it looks like the same room, but it's actually I just made it very similar because I liked the layout. So it is a different room. I didn't build it, Al Guang. I didn't build my room out of framing and freaking plaster and stuff and mud. Okay, didn't do that. Okay, Al Guang, come on, Al Guang. Come on. All right, boys. Let's do Naked Snake. Thank you guys so much. Big shout out to Cheesetarian for dropping a red boy. My boy went so hard, nuking us past goal. Thank you, Cheese. I appreciate you, dude. And don't forget the Phoenix Sage. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I love you, dude. I appreciate you coming back, dude. Karos, my boy, my man. I hope I get to see you soon. And of course, the slew of Orange Boys. By the way, real quick, guys, please make sure you go to my most recent video. Okay, and you give it a view and a like and share it on your Facebooks, your Twitters, what have you. I'm banned on everything, so just give it a share. It's a very, very important video. It's so important that Rumble featured it on their front page. But of course, YouTube, they're not going to do that because it's not painting YouTube in a great light, and it's something they need to take care of fast. So here's the link to it. Please give it some love. Please like this show and let us do Naked Snake. E. Smith said I skipped your super chat. I think I might have skipped like 2 or 3. We were in a deep discussion for a while. I apologize. Let me find it. I'm gonna find it, dude. I'm sorry. Where are you, boy? How far up is it? Jesus. Oh, there it is. E. Smith. Razor, my dude. If Taryn doesn't see my name banned, I also use the name Cotton Hill and I kill Fitty Man. What a great name. I can email him this stuff. We've been talking for a while on email. Thank you, E. Smith. I love you. I appreciate you. Rich, who's going out to Hamas or Palestine or Release. I don't remember this much support for terrorists after 9/11. Thank you, Rich88. Let's do Naked Snake. I appreciate you guys so much. Sorry, kind of in a stir mind. I've been a big fan of Razor Fist for a long time, and I was really excited to get him on. And I hope to see him again in the future. It's such a fun show. Funnest show I've had in a long time. So thank God. Was really, really excited about this one. So without further ado, here we go. It is time for Naked Snake. Like the show, boys. Get your stripper ready. It's time for Blue Boys. Are you guys ready? Are you ready for Naked Snake? I am. Here we go. Look, I'm kind of retarded. Thank you for.
What a thrill with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm
224 times in a row. Cheesitarian, we were 300 from 5 mil. Didn't hit the goal. I'd do it.
But you're so supreme.
I'm tangled. There we go. There been nobody else. 224 in a row. Cry. It's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Here we go, boys.
Someday we'll go red. Someday you feed on a tree frog. It's a trial to survive.
Oh my God! Can you believe this? I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there been nobody else. Cry. It's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream. Snake eater. Amazing show. Amazing stream. Thanks, RazörFist. And of course, we gotta do cotton. Amazing! Ooh, Lord! You son of a bitch. Damn you, cheese. Damn you, cheese! Why? Why have you forsaken me, cheese? Oh my God! Look at this drop! Look at this insane drop! Wow. Cheesitarian. Damn. I wish I could have had RazörFist do it. I don't know if we would have, but I will, because that, my friend, is Fight Milk goal. Fight Milk with a $300 super chat. That is a huge drop, my friend. A huge drop that I do not deserve, but I am forever grateful. Thank you so much, Cheesitarian. I love you. I appreciate you, Cheesitarian. Well, we do now. The balls have been applied. The lube has been applied. We're going. Thank you, Cheesy. I love you, Cheesy. Everybody give Cheesy some love in the chat for going extra, extra hard on my unwashed ass. I appreciate it, dude. Spooky Sparky, how much for Fight Milk, bro? We're there. We're there, Sparky. It's over. We're there. Emoji Phil says Redneck meets Metal City. Thank you, Emoji, and thank you to Cheesies for going hard. I'm gonna go get Fight Milk supplies. We're gonna swallow them, and we're gonna bid adieu. 140 likes until 1,000. Hit it in honor of RazörFist. I'm gonna play the musical stylings of Alex Jones, and then we're gonna do. I gotta go get it. It's like two flights of stairs downstairs. So I'm gonna go get my Fight Milk supplies, and then we're gonna do Fight Milk. I'm angry.
System, the company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot belly goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. Gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims, oh they're so good, oh they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Cheesy-tarian. I cut it so close, guys. I got here as the song was ending, and then I kicked over my drink, and it fucking exploded. I'm like, oh. At least I don't have to empty it now. Here we go, boys. It is time for Fight Milk. Big shout out to Cheesy-tarian. Big shout out to all the people that support your boy and make us in the 24th highest super chatted channel of all time. Thank you so much, Cheesy-tarian. I love you. Cheesy is the man. He's goated. It's time for some Fight Milk. We're going to wash it down with some Woodford Reserve. Only the best. For Naked Snake Colonel, we have the whiskey. Woodford Reserve. No Metal Gear in sight. It's time for Fight Milk. You guys ready? Are you ready for Fight Milk? Because it's time. We're 130 likes away from goal. I need you to spam the living dick balls out of it. I need you to slap it. Slap it. Slap it like it's your wife and it's 1950 and she said something out of the way. Let's go. Let's start cracking in. We're going to crack in some of these eggies. You guys excited for the eggy crackies? Thank you. Hit it with the money laundering. Thank you, Dave. Dave to get. Thank you. Anybody that's watching my most recent video, I'm forever grateful. It's a video I really, really was proud to make. Really fun to kind of make something that, you know, I didn't kind of hear from someone or somebody kind of like emailed me, or it was something I found myself and did it. So please watch it, like it, share it. r/videos. I got banned from there like 5 years ago for a completely unrelated thing. Posted on there. I think it's very informative. It's very interesting. So get on it, dog on it. Please. Here we go. First egg down. Here we go. Whee! Oh, I hate when it splashes all over my damn mouse. My poor mouse don't deserve this. God. Here we go. Come on. Let's go. No, I'm breaking it wrong. Fuck. Come on. Open. Yeah. Whee! Oh. Look at all the mucus. Oh, fuck. All right, here we go. Let's get the milk in here. Let's get the whiskey in here. And then we'll turn on the musical stylings of Mick Gordon. And we're going to go hard. Thank God it's whiskey. I missed whiskey. I've been drinking this with wine lately, and it tastes like balls. I hate wine anyway, so that probably doesn't help the situation much. But that's what she said. All right. Here we go, boys. Thank you. Let me see if there's any recent super chats, because I totally haven't been looking. Cheesy. Don't feel too grateful. Not the biggest super chat I've ever given. Damn, Cheesy's flexing. It's nothing to Mr. Cheese. Thank you, Cheesy. I love you. It means something to me, damn it, Cheese. What the fuck drinks wine? I don't drink wine, no. I just had some wine that somebody left at my house, and I was out of five milk stuff, so I used it. And wine tastes like ball sack juice. Wine tastes like water that's stagnant that somebody dipped their balls in for 5 hours, and they haven't but washed in like a year. That's what wine tastes like to me. Fermented balls. We got some Fairlife high protein whole milk in the mix. It's gonna be delicious. And then we have Woodford Reserve. Here we go. The delicious. Nice. Ooh. A little bit of a heavy pour, but we'll be fine. Chase Davis. Wine's easy to get fucked up on. Man, I don't know. With how many white girls I've seen drink an entire bottle of wine by themselves and not be blitzed, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I've seen white girls drink a whole bottle like this big, like of wine, and they're just fine. I'm like, if I drank this whole bottle of Woodford in one sitting, I would have to go to the ER. Right? I'd be dead. They'd be freaking. I don't even. They'd be crazy, man. Here we go. What the hell's Pilk? Twisted Jack. What the hell's Pilk? Are you guys ready for fight milk? Wait, so you don't drink only tequila? Hold on. You telling me you're Hispanic and you drink anything other than delicious tequila? Silver agave. I love it. Don Julio. All right, here we go. I'm ashamed of you. It's time for fight milk. This is our 5th stream out of the last 6 with fight milk. I'll see you guys on the other side. It's McDude. Hey, the Ganel man. Let's do this. Here we go. Curdled to the top is the whiskey. Curdled. Him's curdled. It's Fight Milk. It's the CAMELCAST. RazörFist. Thank you. Get on it, doggone it. Ah! Oh! Oh my God! Amazing. This has been the CAMELCAST 69. I hope we're here on episode 169 doing this one day. RazörFist. All the people in the chat. You guys are goated. Thank you guys so much. We are 100 locks from goal. I need you to spam that bastard like it's your damn redheaded stepchild that you did not sign up for. I'm not your real dad? I'm not your real dad? Well, this is a real fist. Okay? Now get back to your room, Braxton. Because I ain't finished with your mom yet. Thank you guys so much. Amazing show. Best show we've had in a long time. Love it, dude. Love it. I appreciate you guys. We're going to raid Nick Ricada today. James Hunsinger, Justice, Malty, Alan Jones, my boy Lesser Logic. I hope you're following me, Alan Jones, on Locals. I put up a picture of the new car. By the way, if you get an email from my Locals, it's 15% off the yearly membership fee. 15% off. That's huge. If you're not subscribed, get on there. I put all my race footage on there. I put all my race updates, all my sponsors, all my progress pics from the gym, all my exclusive episodes, videos come out there early. Get on it, doggone it. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Was RazörFist already on? He just left Hardcore Bunny, but this stream will be live in a minute after I leave, and you can watch the whole thing with RazörFist. And I'll have it time-stamped as well. Insane show. A lot of fun. I love you guys. And I'm so thankful to have you guys as not only people in my chat. I know a lot of you in real life, but as also my friends. Thank you guys so much. And thank you again to Cheesetarian. Going hard. Thank you, my friend. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. It's time to join the stream with Nick Ricada. Is he still not live? That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. We're going to raid him. He'll be live here in about 5 seconds. I'll text him and tell him to get live. Love you, Narco Wookie, by the way. Here we go. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys. Saturday, I'm racing in North Carolina, Carteret County. I will not be streaming with Zia. I'm so sorry, but I will not miss another Saturday after that until April. I think May. I will not miss another Saturday show until May. So that being said, I'll see you guys Monday. Monday. Guess who is live? I'll see you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Sonia, what the fuck? I love you. What did I do? I'll see you guys Saturday. Or no, fuck, Monday. Sorry. Maybe I'll bring Z on. I don't know. Fuck. I'll see you guys. Love you. I'll see you in next stream. Say Cam Raid in the next stream. Cam Raid. Get on it. Doggone it.